while you do your intro.
Yeah, I hope so.
Let's go.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It looks good. And I think we're live. I don't know if we're live yet, guys. I can't figure it out.
I'm gonna have it on in the background just to be safe.
Da 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 da.
We're live.
Oh my
We're
God.
back.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon from a long hiatus of us living our lives and figuring out what to do with it. So thank you for waiting. And here we're going to have a random gobbledygook talk of God knows what. Oh, no, we're talking about Metroid. That's right.
Yes, Smudcast number 50. So it's unintentionally a milestone.
Yeah. Metroid. What a wonderful franchise. It's sort of like that old school NES vibe that just works. And you have the Super Nintendo era. Actually, with the Game Boy era as well. But the Super Nintendo era really shot it up with the Super Metroid. That was the game for a lot of people that said, wow, this thing has promise. And it just kept going and going from there. So we're going to be talking about that. We're talking about our time with the games, where we think the game should be going, because it's had a few snags along the way, or along the years at least.
Oh yeah.
So lots to talk about in regards to the franchise and where it should be going. It's a tough sell sometimes. Anyway, what do we have on the screen there? Gingaman? What's that?
For the sake of having something on screen, we're going to be having Metroid Prime 3 through the Prime Hack mod. And
No, this is real. It's real. This is an officially licensed version of the game.
To be fair, I do own a legal copy.
So. This, what's on the screen, is officially licensed.
Just for the sake of this, let's
Nintendo, please.
So yeah, the Metroid series is definitely like, even though it doesn't look like it in recent years, apologies for the purple screen there, and even though it doesn't look like it in recent years, like Metroid is definitely, without a doubt, one of the flagship franchises for Nintendo, without question. It's like it's had its ups and downs. It's like after Super Metroid, it had an 8-year hiatus, but once that was finished, we got Fusion and Prime 1 on the same day, and both of those games are pretty good for their own reasons. Then we had more of the Prime series, Zero Mission, the remake of the first game, and things were going pretty well after like that initial era. And then Other M happened, which we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Which led to another hiatus, which opened the door for what, in my opinion, one of the most acclaimed fan games, at least in my purview, which is AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, which was as a result of like the notion back then in the mid 2000s that Metroid 2 was probably going to get the same treatment as Zero Mission, like the big remake for GBA or DS at the time, but it never happened. So we got an AM2R as a result of that after 10 years of development. It was a really good fan game, and true to form for Nintendo, it got shut down. Partly because they were doing their own remake at the time.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this the time when Prime Pinball came out? I'm trying to remember the time frame here.
Pinball, I believe, was... I think
no, that was 3DS.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was DS. DS. That was,
DS.
I think... That was just before Prime Hunters on the DS in 2004-ish. I know it was after Prime.
Anyone played Prime Hunters?
No.
I played a little bit of it. I never went... I played a little bit of it and then stopped. I've been meaning to go back to it and finish it.
Yeah, that game really cramped your hands up because you controlled the camera with the stylus. And, harsh. I did beat it, though.
Yeah, and then obviously the critically acclaimed Metroid Prime trilogy. Like, all three of them really good games, although they definitely have at least 2 and 3 definitely have their issues. I can name off the top of my head that Prime 2 was initially, like, pretty difficult by the standards of the series. Mainly in that some of the bosses were pretty cheap, and then Prime 3, as a direct response to that, was made a bit too easy because of some of the phase-on related gimmicks that were introduced.
Yeah, I think the Prime series, the 2, it really peaked at 2. Not to say 3 was bad, but the boss fights, the soundtrack, the level design, everything just was really amped up. from the first game and the second. And I don't know why the third did not feel as good, because it was still a great game.
Yeah,
Part of it was
actually.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think the Prime games have a big tonal deviation from like the mainline 2D entries as well, because the 2D Metroid games, they're almost like sci-fi horror, like claustrophobic, space thrillers. They're very like Alien and Aliens inspired, whereas the Metroid Prime games are very space opera-esque, I feel.
Sometimes it felt like they met. I mean, this is just like a fan notion, but people have made the argument, like at least half jokingly, that they might have been competing with like things like Halo and Half-Life, which I honestly don't see it. Although Prime 2 and 3 came out the same years as Halo 2 and 3, so as well as Half-Life 2 in 2004 were for Prime 2. So think of that what you will, but me personally, I don't see that argument in the least.
I can't see that because they're notoriously long to come out. And I don't think they were timing it with any particular release date of other games. The same way that, like this year is going to be a big time for gaming because of GTA, and developers are aware of that, or publishers rather. So they're like, okay, we're not going to release too soon before the release of GTA, and we're definitely not going to release right after, maybe Christmas to get the holiday rush, but they're probably going to release in January for the sake of it, because they know it's going to dominate all the sales charts.
Yeah.
I don't think they were trying to ape Halo or Half-Life or any other big shooter games at the time.
Yeah,
I just think they were trying to make kind of a unique tonal identity for the Prime series. Because I mean, if you want the more creepy claustrophobic feeling, you can just go back to Metroid 1, 2, or Super Metroid or Fusion. Whereas the Prime series feel a lot more grand in scale.
Oh yeah, and it's not the same studio. They gave this to a Western publisher, so it's very different. Like it's almost like they're putting a huge risk to just hand the IP over to another company and say, "Hey, this is our thing. Don't screw it up." And for whatever purpose or whatever outcome, they did a great job. Just not exactly the same vibe and feeling of the side scrollers.
Yeah. I mean, there's a moment in Prime 3 where friggin' Samus and Ridley are free-falling and fighting each other while they're in free fall, which was like totally aping on the entire scene from the second Lord of the Rings movie where Gandalf and the Balrog are fighting each other in free fall.
Which, speaking of, we might have a chance of seeing it here just to drive the point home. So
yeah, way more over the top. Warning. Yeah, way more over the top and like action movie-esque. Sorry, go ahead.
But I was going to add to that. At the same time, it's like it's still within the context of just the Metroid series. It's still a neat set piece, even with like it trying to ape that moment in Lord of the Rings a little bit. So, but at the same time, it's a unique moment for the series that they were able to like sneak that little set piece in there to have something to distinguish this game from the others in the trilogy, that it was willing to try new things cinematically.
Yeah, for sure.
Aren't you Samus Aran? It's an honor to meet you.
And as you can see, like obviously, we're at the point. Prime 3's at the point of the series where even just regular Federation troopers and even some higher ups like admire and respect her and the feats and the deeds that she's done over the course of the series history. Because for reference, the Prime trilogy is the entirety of the Prime trilogy is just after the events of Metroid 1, after the Zebes infiltration, after killing Mother Brain. So
it's the same for
go ahead.
It's the same for Metroid Prime 4, right? It's still in that time frame, I believe.
It's either in that time frame, or I mean, it was also implied at some point that Prime 4 might take place at least after Super Metroid, if not after Other M. Which I'm just like, how?
Are there some of the Metroid games that are just like on different timelines?
No, it's all one continuity. It's just that games like Other M and Prime 4 kind of screw things up a little bit in terms of the overarching canon. especially other M, but that's all other discussion that we might get into a little later, depending on the questions that our hosts might have for us.
Well,
Oh, Adam.
Why is Other M
Adam,
so
please.
I don't know. I never played Other M, so
Well, before
don't worry about
we go into questions, like I'll just try to sum it up. It's basically they tried to follow up on Super Metroid being such a fan favorite with a story taking place directly after it, obviously, but the way it was written, Samus and the Federation both, it felt so off compared to what had come before. At a point in the franchise where what Samus actually did and what she accomplished spoke louder for her than anything else that you could possibly do with her. Where it was just like, and her character was kind of degraded a little bit in terms of how she acted and certain things from the backstory. Like the infamous Ridley moment later in the game, where it's like, you've beaten him like 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
Why are you not doing
part of it
anything?
is just bad. It's just due to mistranslation and all that. There's something like an entire hour-long video I see that kind of goes over all the actual changes between the English and the Japanese and all that. It's still not technically a good story, but once you like actually listen to the original like Japanese dialogue and the writing, then you kind of get it, but it definitely needs like an actual editor to clean it out.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the game character assassinated Samus, like in a way that is kind of familiar to like how they do to a lot of famous like legacy characters in movies now. Like they just make her super meek and pathetic and just mentally weak and dependent on other people when she wasn't before.
Yeah, and and which leads into an immediate example of Other M, where in the version we got in the West, who remembers the heated area? I think it was Area 3.
Yeah,
2 or
I know
3,
that one. I didn't play, but I know that one.
Yeah, where it's for a good long stretch of that area, like you have to like bear with taking heat damage for a good long while in that area, on and off.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah, but in the version we got in the West, the reason why Samus doesn't engage the Various Suit is because of waiting for authorization from Adam. But in the original Japanese version, it's because she wasn't activating it on purpose out of spite against Adam. To the point where Adam was literally begging her to turn it on. You see how much of a change that is? Just that scene alone?
yeah, that's a big change.
I'm not sure that's a whole lot better though.
It's at least something, because it at least builds on Samus's character up to that point better than what we got over here.
Well, I mean,
Got a
was she
question in the chat
suicidal
here,
or
by the way.
something?
It had to do with the backstory leading into the relationship between Samus and Adam, where, just to sum up, there was an incident in the past before Metroid 1 where Adam's brother Ian was on some kind of space pod or something. It was about to go off, about to explode, and Samus wanted to save Ian, but Adam was holding her back, and she resents him and the Federation for not letting her save Ian Malkovich. And that's why she left the Federation and became a bounty hunter. That was the breaking point for her.
Sorry, what was the question from the chat?
For the longest time, I had no idea Prime 2 and 3 existed. Are they worth checking out?
Yes, they are. If you're
Yes.
able to find a copy of the Metroid Prime trilogy, do so, especially if it's cheap.
Yeah, if you like the first game, you'll love the next two.
Yeah, they have their pluses, but they also have their own unique issues. Like I said earlier, I don't remember if I said it on stream when we started.
If we want
But
to,
Prime 2 and 3 had issues with difficulty
Holy crap.
balancing, where I believe it was the producer Kensuke Tanabe had interfered in the development of Prime 2 and 3 to the point where he got the developers to make Prime 2 more difficult than they designed it to be. And as a response to that, he got Prime 3 to be easier than it was meant to be because of the gimmicks that this game introduces.
I think that's
So-
the benefit though of having a sequel is you want more of the same, just harder or more complicated. and they might have pushed the bar a bit too far. But
Yeah,
we also get
because
some of the
of-
best
because of,
scenes in the
don't
entire
Worry about
series.
me.
Yeah, but Tanabe's interference definitely kind of messed with how Prime 2 and 3 were originally developed to come out as in terms of the difficulty balancing. It's like, and to this day, like, the resentment for those changes to both of those games are still present. And the Prime trilogy made its best attempt to try to, rectify that. With giving like an easier difficulty for Prime 2 and a higher difficulty for Prime 3 to balance things out a bit, but the problem is still there if you try to play the two games as they were released originally. So that's just a little bit of a niggle that fans have with Prime 2 and 3 even to this day because of the interference from Tanabe. Well,
Prime, when did the first Prime game come out?
Prime 1 was 2002, Prime 2 was 2004, and Prime 3 was 2007.
So this
Which
is
is why
like
I
getting into like the
Yep.
first second generation of like FPS, right?
At least the way we know the subgenre now. Well, not subgenre, the genre, first-person shooters. Although this was around the time, I mean, mind you, this game came out the same year as Halo 3. And the Orange Box, and a year after, and in
BioShock.
the year between, and BioShock, and also the year after Gears of War 1. So there was plenty of games surrounding this one in terms of the larger gaming climate.
Prime 3, you mean?
Yeah, that was surrounding Prime 3 during that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's interesting. I've seen plenty of gameplay from Metroid Prime. It's interesting how that being in the first generation of FPSs, or roughly, not exactly, but roughly the first generation of FPSs, how it kind of shaped the genre.
Yeah, or at least the modern interpretation of the genre, because we had things like Doom, Wolfenstein, we had things like Killzone as another example, although that wasn't exclusive, but still. And then we had other things like Resident Evil going towards the more of the action bent. We had things like Kill Switch that we mentioned before. There were a lot of other things in terms of the shooter genre that were very much rapidly developing at that point. And then came along the Metroid Prime series and did its own take on it, combining it with the more traditional Metroid gameplay elements, and in my opinion, the trilogy pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah.
In terms of translating the 2D Metroid formula into 3D. I'm just calling it as it is. Like, these three games still hold up to this very day.
Yeah, I think it's more so games like the Prime series and Halo, they kind of impacted and wrote the script for shooters on consoles, whereas like Doom and Wolfenstein were mainly PC titles.
Although they were on consoles to a much lesser extent, it's just that the console presence hadn't even started really being there until at the very earliest GoldenEye, if we're being honest.
Yeah, GoldenEye. That was another one. A lot of these games were kind of specialized for consoles, and translating the shooter experience to consoles in an organic and enjoyable way.
Yeah.
What year did Metroid come out?
The original?
Yeah.
The first one? Yeah.
1986, which by complete coincidence, this year is the 40th anniversary.
Well, that's Japan's, right? I thought the first one came out in 87.
It might have come out in 87 for us in the West, at the very least.
Yeah.
No, it was in 86 for both Japan and the US.
Yeah, but there was still a little bit of time in between because in Japan it came out as on the Famicom Disk System, and then they translated it over to the NES for the West. So there was a little bit of time in between, even with the being in the same year.
What do you think the first Metroid game did for gaming in general? Because that was like, I guess, the first 2D side-scroller shooter puzzle type game.
Well, there was Ghouls and Ghosts and Castlevania and Strider and Mega Man. Like, those were... Well, there was like Adventure Kid, a lot of the originals that came out. But Metroid was the first sort of... The level was the puzzle. It wasn't like, here's a hidden power-up. It's like, no, this is a whole necessary power-up to get to the next stage. This is a key.
like this one right here, the missiles.
Yeah, it's like you need the power up to continue the story or continue the game. So
it essentially took the platforming of Mario and the secret discovering and sort of level progression of Zelda, and they put a very like gritty sci-fi horror type aesthetic over it.
And that
was heavily inspired by Alien.
Oh, for sure. And that aesthetic works so well with the emulation of the day and technology of the day, because you can get away with scratchy sounds and high-pitched things, but not to the point of silly comic book effect, but to the idea of, oh, you're in a big, scary environment, and and everything wants to kill you. And they're flying at you, and they're sticking to the wall like aliens. You don't know what they are. And you yourself are kind of alien. You don't know what your powers can do. And all you have is a little pea shooter. If you jump around like a person in zero gravity, and you're doing backflips and or somersaults in the air, you're like, this is weird. This is a very strange way to control and navigate. And then you get stronger, and your gun becomes a real distance weapon. You modify it and get further power-ups. You can go into a ball. Now there's hidden rooms, there's hidden walls. It's all this big exploration process that you get used to. So you learn as you go. And that's the beautiful thing. The visual storytelling is all there for you to figure out through gameplay. So it's not like Castlevania, oh, there's a hidden piece of meat in the wall. It's like, no, there's a whole level connected to this hole in the wall you found, but you don't have the morph ball yet to go through there. And then you go and find the morph ball. Now I know what to do with that.
Yeah, and then the game design naturally evolves that from just a tunnel you can go through to a tunnel that's blocked off by a specific block that can only be blown up by the morph ball bombs, which you get like lit sometime after that, and then it keeps evolving the gameplay from there based on what you have and based on what you have to get next.
So it's a combination of the sound and graphic emulation of the time working very well with a side-scroller genre which everyone sort of knew at the time. That's Mario Brothers was a side-scroller. So you take this very popular genre and you redefine it with a new setting, with a new vibe, with a gun essentially that is pure exploration and pure storytelling visually.
And it serves as the genesis of a whole new genre in the form of Metroidvania.
Well, that comes later.
Which is like the main contributors to the subgenre being created in the way we know it now were specifically Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night. Like that's when it really started to pick up in terms of the popularity of not only both of those franchises on their own, but also what they both did in relation to how things were progressing in terms of that specific gameplay style and game design.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Smud. Go ahead with what you were saying.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was wondering if you guys want to get into the questions yet. See if you want to get the story.
I think we can start now with questions. Yeah.
All right, so we'll start with the standard questions that a fan would know, and if you don't know them, that's okay. We'll let someone else go into details.
In that respect, sorry to cut you off, but in that respect, it's like if you don't know as much as others on the panel or just in the fandom in general, it's like we usually tend to view that as like part of a learning experience. It's like if you didn't know that specific thing, it's like there you go, now you know.
The first few are pretty much just to get you acclimated to what you like and why. But let's just start with the big ones. There's the Super Metroid, or there's the Metroid Prime trilogy. Which style of Metroid defines the peak of the entire franchise? What would you say?
As much of a cop-out as it might sound, I would honestly to this day argue both. Because it did both so well to the point where, like we just said, that those became the standard for that entire subgenre, even including Symphony of the Night, which came out after Super Metroid, like 3 years after. Metroid is that kind of franchise where it took both directions for a good long while, 2D and 3D, and was able to nail both for the most part. But if I had to pick between the two styles, 2D is ultimately the one that edges out a little more because of what it was able to establish just in game design in general, as well as how a lot of developers now, to this day, were able to take it in their own directions with, be it their own gimmicks, adding more story, more direct story, I should say, because Metroid has story just in a more indirect fashion. It's like you seek it out yourself. But whatever form it takes, the Metroidvania subgenre is like the 2D Metroid style. To go back to the questions, like that proved to be something that, in my opinion, to be timeless in terms of game design. There's been some fumbles here and there with how developers have taken it, occasionally, but overall, if the formula works, it tends to work down to a T.
That's a question for everyone. You guys can chime in anytime.
Yeah. Who wants to go next? Because I don't want to steal airtime from anyone.
The situation doesn't look good. The pirate attack is not.
Well,
So the question was, what do we think is better, the 2D or the 3D?
No. What's the peak of the franchise out of all the
This
games?
cannon was our only weapon capable of taking out orbiting ships.
Yeah, I went about it in terms
Bias,
of
but I
like
think Fusion.
The other hunters to get the generators
Really?
back on. I'm uploading the
Yeah.
generator
It
coordinates.
was the first one I played, and it had so many interesting concepts that when I went back and I played the remake of the first game that I
Zero
can't
Mission.
remember that. Zero Mission, yeah. When I wake up played Zero Mission, I was like, I can see. I had a bit of a unique perspective because I played Fusion, which was, I think, probably the peak of the 2D. And then I go back and play the first one. I'm like, there's so many cool concepts that you see carried over from this first game that are mirrored quite well in Fusion, and then expanded upon and then just done better. So I'm like, man, this series is a great example of something that's gotten to grow along with the fans, along with just technology at the time, and with the changing landscape of gaming. And I really want to see if Metroid ever gets another game. So maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys know something I don't. But
Yeah, because at this point, I mean, there's some projects rumored, one of those being possibly a remake of Super Metroid, which I'm, at this point with the Metroid series, I'm 50-50 about, and also another project that's supposed to take place after Dread. I'm not going to say anything about Dread specifically to not spoil it for anyone, but...
isn't Super Metroid a remake of the first game?
No,
it's the third game.
Yeah, Super Metroid is officially Metroid 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
okay.
Yeah, like how Fusion is Metroid 4 and Dread is Metroid 5. So that's
just
the
called-
general alignment with the main series.
Yeah, they just called it Super Metroid because that was a trend with Super Nintendo games constantly.
Yeah,
It was a branding of the title, but even in the game, they call it Metroid 3 like the project.
yeah,
name.
and before the title card, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, and yeah, it was like that was. It's like, which is something that marks like the specific time period of the gaming industry at that time. With the Super Nintendo, it was adding Super. With the N64, it was adding 64 to the end, even though on other systems it wasn't really necessary. But the 64 did it anyway, and then I know the GameCube didn't do it, but the Wii did it occasionally with at least some first-party games. No, I don't think too many for third-party stuff, aside from like unofficial naming scheme by fans and players and such. So yeah, but no, to go back to that original point, it's like Smud said, before the title card in Super Metroid, it is listed first as Metroid 3, and then it goes right into the Super Metroid title card with the baby Metroid. And the same with Fusion, where in the shots of the BSL space station, it says Metroid 4 before it says Metroid Fusion. And in my opinion, I don't remember if Dread does it with saying Metroid 5 before it says Metroid Dread, but if it doesn't, it might as well should have.
It does.
I know in the marketing,
Okay.
it calls out Metroid 5 before it shows the title.
Okay, well that's at least good to know, because I 100% in Metroid Dread a good while ago. I just couldn't remember if that did it too, but it's good to know that it did.
Yeah, I think ever since Super Metroid, like it's like a tradition. All the games they show Metroid 4 or 5 before they actually go into the subtitle.
Yeah, it's specific
The
to just
title
those
screen.
three. Yeah, it's just specific to those three because obviously the original Metroid and then Metroid 2: Return of Samus, those are self-explanatory.
Yep.
And then Super Fusion and Dread being 3, 4, and 5, and then the Prime games also speak for themselves, and every game after that as well. So there's that.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think Rainmaker's answered the question yet.
Oh no, I'm seeing him right here. No, he's muted right now. Damn.
Oh.
Well, here's hoping he's okay. But no, actually, before going to the next question, I do
Rip.
want to touch on the fusion point you brought up a little bit in terms of what you consider the peak of the series. Like, I can honestly see the argument because aside from everything Fusion did at the face of it, it's like that is also another example of the Metroid series in particular having giving its own unique spin on evolving the series in a good way, because of having more of a narrative focus for the sake of telling a more specific story in terms of how to follow up on Super Metroid after 8 years. Like at the absolute worst, I can say it was a good attempt at being more narrative focused, more directly narrative focused, while at the same time continuing the threads of what the series was establishing in Metroid 1, 2, and Super up to that point. So we can definitely agree that Metroid Fusion was a really good game, for plenty of reasons, and I've already and I've just given my argument as to why, because again, it honestly, it might not seem it at first, but Fusion definitely felt like a natural evolution of the series after Super, because Super was an entry of the series that really, you could argue, went whole hog in terms of the logical evolution of the series after 1 and 2 at that point. So with Fusion taking a different approach in that way and coming out as the game that we got, it's definitely an example of how to take a series in a new direction without so much betraying the core identity, and I can honestly commend for that.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I guess to give my own answer to that question, honestly, I prefer Super Metroid and most of the other 2D games to the Prime games. I have a bit of an unpopular opinion. I was never too big on the Prime series. It's mainly due to subjective reasons, honestly, because I prefer playing the 2D games where Samus is just bouncing off the walls and just pulverizing enemies at supersonic speed and just doing all this other crazy acrobatic shit, whereas she just feels a lot slower in the Metroid Prime games. Just feels a bit more limited to me. That and all the scanning you have to do it's not really my cup of tea, honestly. So I would have to go with Super Metroid for sure.
Yeah, I can honestly see the argument.
What kind of tea?
Just to finish. Sorry, what?
What kind of
making
tea?
a joke?
Ginger tea? Black tea?
No, but
Left
just to
saying
finish
Souchong tea.
Just to finish up just to add one last thing to that point before the next question. It's I can definitely see the argument for preferring 2D over 3D in that regard. Just setting Prime aside completely. I disagree because I'm of the portion of the fan base that can definitely see the merits of both. It's I won't say that you're wrong for denying the Prime series or disliking the Prime series in any way. That's just preference at that point. But at the same time, at the very least, it can still be seen that the direction of Prime still was able to, just at least on a basic level, it was still able to, just in general, respect the overall core identity of the franchise, at least in my opinion, and it was still able to respect all of the gameplay design, the core design decisions that the 2D era had already set up by this point. And
yeah,
again, in my opinion, the Prime series still respected the identity of the series and the design and the innovations to game design that went with it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not gonna take a dump all over people who do love the Prime games. I'm not gonna say you're a dumbass, you're an idiot, you have shit taste or anything like that. No,
different
strokes for different folks.
Yeah, because there is absolutely a way to keep the discussion civil without it just devolving into "I'm right, you're wrong," because that never ends well, no matter which side you sit on of any discussion like that. So I'm just like, we each have our own opinions on this stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
if you prefer 2D over 3D, great. 3D over 2D, great. If you disregard one for the other almost completely, it's like, that's fine, that's whatever. If you like both, fantastic. Then you have a bigger appreciation for the series just on a grander scale. It's like, and this is one of those series, just to finish off the point, it's like, where it's like, there's going to be that division because of how drastic the difference is between one and the other. But it's like, whatever you find enjoyment in, it's like, have at it. And it's like, as long as the conversation is kept civil, it's like, you can like whatever you want. You can like whatever you want to like. You can take away whatever you want out of the series, and we'll be fine at that point. So whatever.
One thing I hope we can all agree on is that Brie Larson should never be Samus.
No.
That's just a joke someone made up online. I don't think she's ever gonna.
Yeah, but just the mere possibility is like, I don't want that to happen.
It's nightmare fuel.
Even if it is a joke, I wouldn't take it that far, but I just don't want.
Did Brie Larson ever chill the fuck out?
I think a little.
She kind of did. Yeah, she's been humbled a bit ever since the Marvels.
She seemed. She kind of.
Yeah.
She kind of regrets a lot of the stuff she said before.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And part of the mellowing out was also the Super Mario Galaxy movie where they brought her in to play Rosalina, which it's like, Nintendo, they're gonna keep a tight leash on you. It's like if you're the kind of person that runs your mouth, they're gonna make sure you're on you're on the level if you want to work with them. All right. But yeah, I think we can move on to the next question.
Well, I mean, does Rainmaker want to offer some 2 cents or?
Oh, for the question of like what?
Hard to say, honestly.
The question was like, what do you think like the peak of the series was? That's the general question.
Okay, this is someone who actually never played. Who's only experienced in terms of playing Metroid is Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS and Metroid Prime 3, which you're playing right now.
Yeah.
As a whole, I think, just judging by how people talk about the Metroid games as a whole, I would say Super Metroid's the peak, but it's just that a lot of games afterwards, a lot of the Metroid games afterwards seem to take cues from Fusion, probably because they want to do a more focused narrative, and Fusion was, as you can tell, was a lot more of a linear game, because it has to take into account all the narrative stuff.
Yeah, which is just part of how like gaming as a whole was evolving by this point, where it's like Nintendo was I think we can agree that Nintendo was one of the front runners in terms of pushing innovation forward in terms of game design and gameplay. So and even they had a little bit of an initiative to try to add a little bit more narrative, like Fusion and like Prime 1 and 2 to a lesser extent, and obviously Prime 3 here and other M's. Like that, even they could see that whole sea change of game design, and were at least made an attempt to move forward with like what the trends were forming into at the time. At the time that at least Prime 1 was in development, so I think I think now we can move on to another question. Smud, go ahead.
Alrighty, which game in the series got you into Metroid, and was it also your first one?
All clear.
For me, it was Fusion. It got me. Fusion. Hello there. I'll see you later. My first was Fusion, but the one that really properly got me into the series was Super Metroid because of everything that it established for the Metroid series. I'll just keep my answer simple. Fusion was alright, but Super Metroid being the benchmark for what damn near everything that came after. It's like that's the one that really got me into the series as a fan. And I'll just leave it there so everyone else can like put their answer in there.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can add. Mine was Super Metroid. It's just a monument of a fucking game. It's an all-time fucking classic and masterpiece.
One of the greatest of all time, I would dare say.
Yeah, it's damn close to being a perfect game in my estimation.
Yeah, just overall.
But
yeah,
not a whole lot I can say that no one else hasn't. So I'll just pass it all on to the next person.
So Rainmaker, Zach, whichever of you guys wants to answer that question.
Yeah, Fusion. Fusion got me into the entire series. I already said that, but I had so much fun with the progression in that game. Yes, it was more linear, but I enjoyed that it had a pretty interesting story. I was just playing it on a Game Boy, little Game Boy Advance when I was a kid.
Yeah,
this is kind of like the first time I'm getting like a little sci-fi game that's a 2D side scroller, but has an interesting story and an interesting progression that really just tickled that TISM itch in your brain.
More or less.
That kind of, because my first game I ever played was actually Legend of Zelda. That's why I have a bunch of Zelda tattoos, and that got me into the fantasy genre.
Yeah, that's fair.
And when I played Fusion, it was like, this is kind of the first sci-fi game that's in the same vein as Zelda. Forgive me for making the comparison, but it's kind of in the same vein as Zelda.
It's
fine.
Like, okay, it's honestly, let me just clarify that point. The Zelda comparison, I have zero issue with, because part of the initial inspiration for the Metroid 1's initial game design was very clearly Zelda, so any comparison following from there is just whatever at this point.
Yeah, if you kind of follow the formula of collecting upgrades, collecting these different weapons that allow you access to the next level that you then get to keep for the remainder of the game, and you grow more powerful as you go throughout the game. All incredible stuff that gives you a sense of reward as a player and really drives home the narrative. Fusion was great.
Yeah, I think a lot of the different sections of each world that the Metroid games are set in, you could also compare to like the dungeons in Zelda too.
More or less.
Lots of like puzzles and places to navigate. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Finish your point. Sorry, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah, I have a point to make as well as soon as you're done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Metroid is I can also trace back like my love of sci-fi and my love of sci-fi video games. My favorite game ever is Cyberpunk. Seeing like just tracking my little journey there with these little sci-fi puzzle games. My love of the sci-fi genre, because I love sci-fi and fantasy. Fantasy beats out, but my favorite game is Cyberpunk. It's just interesting how it kind of all culminates. And I don't think the sci-fi genre would be
Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, boy, that's my entire left sleeve.
Sweet.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Rainmaker, what game would you say that got you into the Metroid series proper?
Technically speaking, the first Metroid game I played was Zero Mission on my cousin's GBA.
Nice.
I was like 5 or 6 at the time, and I couldn't even get past the first area. I would say Prime 3 would kind of got...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The Morphball. I couldn't get past the Morphball stuff.
I mean, well, did you get it at all? Or did you just not know that it was there?
No, dead latter.
Because that's actually part of like the innovation of Metroid, where it's like it got you, like, nowadays it's like on a negligible or like basic level that the design could be seen as, but it's like Metroid was, in terms of the Nintendo stuff, it made you really think about like where to go. It's like, because like the tradition was just go right and don't stop. Like Metroid just like very explicitly made a core upgrade accessible just by going to the left at the very start. It's very simple. It's a very simple gameplay design choice now, but looking back, it's something that really like helped push things forward in terms of design, among all the other things we've mentioned so far.
There's a gentleman in the chat that's asking us to turn down the volume on the stream. So that he can listen to us talk.
I believe that would be Smud turning down my stream on his end.
I have a global control for volume. It would have to be on your end to control the emulation.
All right, so let me try. Let me just.
I just wanted to add, I can relate to the Morphball segments in Zero Mission being challenging. There's some upgrades and like missile tanks and health tanks and stuff in that game that that are really tough to get. Like you got to have some like fake dexterity and some friggin' morph ball, shine spark, like bomb ninjutsu skills to actually get at them.
I'm getting
So I definitely know what
Do you mean like that? Just like do you mean just like the high skill ceiling tech stuff, or do you just mean sequence breaking?
It's not sequence breaking. There's certain upgrades in Zero Mission that are hidden in very like cleverly designed rooms with obstacles that you have to have like very precise like shine spark control and like bomb placement when you're in the morph ball form in order to actually get to.
Those ones, the really out of the way expansions, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about like the specific sequence breaks that were intentionally built into the core game design.
No, I'm not talking about sequence breaking. It's just
you're talking about the advanced stuff for the post game, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, those rooms can bite my ass when I'm doing 100% in Zero Mission, seriously. But that's a whole other topic.
Alrighty, let's keep going. Which title in the franchise deserves way more love than it gets? That's a good one.
Ooh, that's kind of tough. Because there's quite a few titles that do deserve a bit more attention. I would say I'll give it to one of you guys to answer before I give my answer. Because that's
okay, but seriously, Other M could use like the usual Ninja Gaiden like revision, like have Team Ninja go back and make at least the gameplay better.
I mean, the gameplay we got was okay. It just left a lot to be desired.
It was really hammered the fact that you couldn't. It was designed around using the Wii mode only and not nunchuck.
Not even the classic controller, which like I think, if I remember correctly, I think the classic controller Pro might have been out at that time because of the GoldenEye remake. I think.
I'm pretty sure it's not compatible because you would have to use the Wii mode to
No. I know. I just mean like in terms of when they were making the game. Like they could have used that. They could have worked that into the design of the controls and have that as an alternate option, but they didn't. That's what my point is that they squandered that opportunity to have that extra option for players that very clearly like were right about their complaints about the about the controls with just the Wiimote on its own. It's like that was what were they thinking?
Well, from my research is like I don't think the producer wanted to emulate the original control scheme in like the NES or SNES Metroid games with the much simpler.
It was specifically Metroid 1, yeah. But unfortunately, the series had already evolved to such a point where that was nothing more than a regression in terms of how they were designing the game and what they were designing it for in terms of the controls.
Yeah, that's why I said
it was a very much a step back.
Yeah, that's why I said that it really should have, like, Nintendo should have just let Team Ninja have a shot at like remaking the game for like I don't know, like maybe the Wii U or something, incorporate like more buttons or something.
Yeah, it's like honestly, like give them a chance to like expand on things and add and give proper and add a proper control scheme to the design at the very least. If they were not gonna do anything about the story, which is honestly,
they couldn't. Not you have to rewrite most of the story. Like
this is the scene right. This is the scene right here in the game
that
I was talking about earlier.
This seems cool.
Yeah, which is like the big problem, and I think we can all agree one of the biggest problems with Other M was without a doubt the story. That is at the front. That is the front runner for the issues with the game. I'm pretty sure we can agree on that.
The story would have to effectively be the same, like what Team Ninja did for Ninja Gaiden 3 when they did the game for Razor's Edge.
Something that. And especially considering Razor's Edge came out on the Wii U, so there was even precedent for it too.
8 months after the original release. On top of that,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only way Ninja Gaiden 3 came out on the Wii U in the first place, wasn't it? With Razor's Edge. With Sigma 3, I should say.
Kinda-ish. I mean, I because it was originally a Wii U exclusive. It was supposed to be exclusive for like 4 months.
Oh, okay.
4 months.
Okay,
It was like
okay.
4 months. But apparently, because the Wii U being the Wii U, not many people actually got the console.
Partly
our
because
team
of
at
poor
Temple
marketing.
Koei
Partly
agreed to
because
just
of
break up the console.
partly
Yeah,
because
they
of
just
poor
did-
marketing as a thing.
Yeah, but eventually they just broke the contract off a month early and released on other systems.
Which honestly, good on Team Ninja for them for doing that. Honestly,
Well, they had to make a financial decision, and that's objectively the best decision they could have.
Yeah.
And it seems like amicable because Team Ninja still makes games for Nintendo. Like they
Yeah, they-
made Hyrule Warriors with Omega Force, and they made Ultimate Alliance 3.
all three of them.
Yeah, I was
think,
just
right?
about to say that. Yeah. All three what?
all three Hyrule Warriors games. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Like the original Age of Calamity and Age of Imprisonment. I'm pretty sure all three have that partnership between Nintendo and
Tecmo Koei.
Koei Tecmo and no, actually no. Well, Team Ninja was
I think Team Ninja was a
Team Ninja-
support studio for Omega Force. They're working.
yeah. It was mainly Koei Tecmo as like helping with the publishing, and then Omega Force like helping with the development. Yeah, Team Ninja didn't have as much involvement in the Hyrule Warriors games, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Team Ninja, they're making Wulong 2 and Dead or Alive 7.
Oh,
They're keeping busy.
Yeah, so busy that they often say that they just do not have enough time to make another Ninja Gaiden game. That's why 4 was made mostly by Platinum.
Yeah, that makes
Nice.
sense.
I mean, I would love to see like Team Ninja get back to making another Ninja Gaiden game because I played 4 and I played all the other Ninja Gaiden games, including Dragon Sword on the DS. And I'd say 4 it's okay. It's just that it's very different from all the other Ninja Gaiden games. But not like how 2 was different from 1 and 3 is different from 2. It felt
Alright,
too
so,
different.
Yeah. All right. So does anyone else want to answer the question of like what Metroid game they think should get more attention, or?
Yeah, I think that I got kind of two answers to this. I think when it comes to the actual fan base, I think they should probably give the original Return of Samus a bit more appreciation, because I think that game accomplished a lot
Yeah.
for
it
being
did.
limited on the original GBA.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I also think that was kind of the first game to sort of nail the modern art style and aesthetic of the Metroid franchise too.
That was partly because out of necessity because of the lack of color.
Yeah, but I mean, like the visual design of Samus, like both in the game and on the front cover art, is exactly the same as it is today.
Yeah, again, I repeat my previous statement.
Yeah.
I go Dreamer in the chat, by the way. He says another M is another case of loss in translation. So much context was lost when they translated the Japanese script to English.
Yeah, we did address that earlier. Yeah, it's like we know that very well. It's like, but that's like Other M was such a missed opportunity, and I'll just leave it at that.
This is
Why
going
do
to
you
be a
think
very
it had that missed opportunity? Why
very
do you think
difficult
it
question
had
because it's kind of hard
missed
to remember the music of the franchise, because it's mostly ambient and environmental, but there are some really cool pieces of music. Which area music or which boss music theme is to you the best in the entire series?
Like definitively a single track, or like, well, I'm not gonna say Ridley's boss theme because that's too easy.
Yeah,
Not because
that's the easy answer.
Not because it's bad, but because it's just an obvious answer. Because whenever that theme comes in a game, it's just instantly iconic, no matter what rendition they have of it. So if I had to really pick, I would go like all the way to the beginning. I would say the original Brinstar theme from any of the interpretations of Metroid 1.
Interesting.
Like the Brinstar theme is like it sets despite like the darker atmosphere of the series, especially after that point, it's like it made a point of it made a point of like setting the stage for starting the adventure that you were going to go into on the under the surface of Zebes. It's like it set that standard of not only the quality of the music, but also, like I said, the tone of the overall journey going from that point. And in terms of the music, it just escalates from that point. It nonstop fantastic music all the way to the end of the game. And to the point where, like, the reward for beating the game is the main theme of the entire series going forward, which is also a nice touch. So, the music of the Metroid series is definitely iconic status, like, for all these 40 years that the series has existed. And like I said, I would pick Brinstar as my like definitive track if I had to pick one for having that for being that peak of quality for the series, and I'm messing this up way too much.
Dude, it's insanely hard for me to actually pick a favorite track from any of the games.
Yeah, because there's just so much good music in the series.
Yeah. I don't know if I could say I have a favorite track. I think the title themes for a lot of the games are fucking stellar. Yeah. Because like, the original game, it starts out very eerie and very creepy, but then you get those sort of more melodic and it kind of escalates a lot in tone. It sounds a lot more happier. It sounds a lot more peaceful and beautiful. Like it's a major tonal shift, but it doesn't feel jarring.
Yeah. Which, like I said, that's part of the reason why they left that theme as like the end game reward after you beat the final boss.
I would say the main menu screens of the Prime series, it's just like you just put those on loop, and there's something just magical about the sound, like the zooming in of the molecule, the creepiness. Like it's all just sort of there, and it just wraps itself back into a loop, and it's just such a cool sound. But yeah, I was going to say Ridley's, because Ridley's is the most common in Super Metroid when you play, and it's throughout the entire series as well.
I mean, it's to the point where they took it into Prime 1, and not only did Ridley himself use the theme again in a really good remix for what Prime was trying to do, they also incorporated the Norfair theme, which is basically Ridley's lair from Super Metroid specifically. The theme for Magmore Caverns in the first game, and the song is generally the same, but it has that immediately different feeling for what it's trying to do in that moment when you're in the Magmore Caverns.
I think I do have a theme that I could go with as my current favorite at the moment. That's probably going to change at some point, but if I had to pick one, it would have to be the theme to Kraid's lair from the original game, which was like remixed incredibly in Zero Mission, where it's like I
would also extend that sentiment to the Super Smash Bros. Melee remix as well.
Yeah, that was awesome as well.
Which is like, that whole thing is like an extension of this whole thing in terms of Metroid music, where Smash Brothers in particular, just as an aside, was able to take the already stellar music of, for the sake of this discussion, Metroid specifically, and it was able to do nothing but elevate it to such a point where it just was made not necessarily better, but it was, you can tell the quality is there by people that actually give a damn, that actually care about the music to keep the original feeling to it. All the way to Smash Ultimate.
That's something the Smash Brothers games do really well, is they don't necessarily completely recreate the original tracks from the games. They kind of rearrange them a bit, like they did the Sticker Brush Symphony from Donkey Kong Country 2. Like it sounds a bit different from the original, but it's still just completely incredible what they did with it.
A month to be exact.
It's a lot more.
I forgot sounding. That in Prime 3, Samus goes in a coma for like a month.
Yeah, and to clarify, I believe in terms of the timeline, this game explicitly takes place 5 months after Prime 2.
What's even
between between the end of Prime 2 and the Norian section of Prime 3 that we just played through.
Effective use of this phazon. During the invasion on
And dude, Samus is a busy gal. She never has a fucking vacation or a chance to use a restroom. Jesus.
Though at the same time, she barely hunts any bounties in the adventures we do see in the games.
Yeah,
Which is
that
a
is
whole
true.
other discussion in terms of that particular aspect. I don't know if it's going to come up in Smud's questions, but that could be a whole other tangent that we can bring up. But for now, let's just leave it at that.
All right, let's keep going. If you could have one of Samus's power suits in reality, which specific design would you go for?
I would go with the icon with the Varia suit, the one that's in almost every game. That is definitive. If you want to talk iconic, the Varia suit with the giant shoulders, that is definitively 100% iconic to the series. And it was introduced in, like we said earlier, it was introduced in Metroid 2. It was the cover art for Metroid 2, and it was the significant design change for Samus when it came to actually getting that ability in the game. Again, like I said, it was out of necessity because of the lack of color, so they had to make the most out of the visuals. But from that point on, the Varia suit just became one of those like greatest of all time things in terms of character designs. It was able to make its mark in the series very easily from the get-go, in my opinion.
You must have noticed during this test that hyper mode possesses.
Honestly, I really like I like her suit designs from Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
I think her visual design in that game is really sleek and badass looking.
I
As far as
just
I'm
pulled it
aware,
up too.
as
the
far as
dread
I'm
suit.
aware, isn't that still classified as the Fusion suit from Fusion?
It technically is, because her suit is part of her body, essentially. That's why she can summon it whenever she needs to.
Yeah,
And I think there's a blurb from a developer that says that the reason why her suit looks the way it does in Dread compared to Fusion is between time period, her armor is just naturally trying to regrow itself back to what it originally looked like.
Yeah, she's got that sleek bioorganic look to her suit in Dread, which is really awesome looking.
Yeah,
that's the leftover from the Fusion, but it's going to be gone by the next game because it'll be probably look back to where what it originally looked like.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's also in addition to that, there's also the detail that Dread starts with Samus at the point where she left off at the end of Fusion with all of her abilities, and that's signified by the fact that she has the original orange colored Varia suit look that she left off at the end of Fusion after absorbing the SAX to fight off the Omega Metroid. So like that, I can appreciate. In addition to like the design being its own thing, I can also appreciate the continuity nod with that, on top of everything else.
As for my favorite suit, that's a tough one. I mean, obvious answer is the Varia suit, but the Dread ones are pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, was the question which suit do we want to wear, or which suit's our favorite?
Which suit we would want to have in real life? Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully, visually is one of the major reasons. But yeah, if you had the gravity suit, obviously that'd be awesome. But
Well, the utility of it is just through the roof in real life.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just a fun question. All right, next one. Where do you want Nintendo to take the story right after Dread?
Spoilers for Dread, because that's kind of important for a question like that.
Well, if you know what happens at the end of Dread, I think she's on the run, like she's a criminal now.
Yeah.
No, she's not actually a criminal. That was a mistranslation from Fusion.
Yeah, well, to clarify, it isn't the American version, it's that she was on the run from the entire Galactic Federation, but no, the actual original, story beat there is that it's a faction of the Federation that's after her because of, sabotaging the Metroid experiments on the BSL space station at the end of Fusion. Because that faction of the Federation was trying to recreate the Metroids like the space pirates were. But unlike the pirates, they were also forcing the Metroids into the SR-38 evolutionary cycle so that they can be full-blown bioweapons for the Federation. And because of Samus interfering with those plans, if you want to be accurate, twice in a row with Other M and Fusion, that's why that faction of the Federation is after her by the time of Dread. So, and what I'm about to say is like it's partially influenced not only by Dread spoilers, but also by the recent rumors that I mentioned earlier of that there is supposedly a new game in the works that's going to take place after Dread. That's like, but I would want like to tie up the loose thread of the Federation faction going after Samus, but also at the same time, having to deal with like her whole thing of being part Metroid at the end of Dread. Spoilers for a 5-year-old game, but I think 5-year-old game, 2021, right?
Yep.
I mean, she was always part. I mean, she was part Metroid since Fusion.
Yeah, but
it's taking to a whole other level in Dread, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the fact that that's starting to become more and more of a prevalent issue in Dread as that game goes on, and even reaches a kind of fever pitch by the end of the game. It's like if the rumors are true, it's like, well, the rumor is that the next game after Dread is going to be called Metroid Ravenous, which hints heavily at the possibility of that she's going to deal with that Metroid part of her after the events of Dread because of that part of her DNA actually coming out more and more, as was shown at the end of Dread. So,
but it's supposed to be stabilized though by the end.
Well, that's what we're actually seeing, unless they make some kind of retcon in Ravenous, where they establish that.
I don't think so.
Thing. I mean, well,
I think it'll be a cool mechanic if she can tap into those Metroid powers for like certain puzzles and stuff.
It's possible.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you never know. At this point, we just don't know because all it is just rumors of the title for the Dread sequel and the possibility of a Super Metroid remake. And that's all we know at this point. And I'll just leave it at that.
Do you think there's a possibility for more character growth for Samus?
There could be.
There's always a possibility for more character growth for any character.
Yeah, if they go the route of Other M, then probably not. But
I hope they don't.
But usually,
don't even entertain that idea, Smud.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you have to have a narrative. You have to have a character having a desire that gets conflated or taken apart and brought back. So there has to be some dialogue of some kind, of monologue of Samus and what she wants to do, and why. And you sort of get that just at the intro of Super, and everything else is just sort of that intro idea that, okay, she's a bounty hunter, she has to go do this thing to stop the Metroids again. So unless it's very unique this time around, it's the same plot, really. So I don't think the character needs it. And I think when they tried to do that with Other M, it really screwed the story up. So
it fell flat on its
face. I think it kind of screwed up Dread,
so.
Because in Dread she only gets like 2 speaking lines in the entire game.
It's
almost
unnecessary, yeah.
And one of them is in the Metroid language, or the Chozo language. Sorry. Yeah, my bad.
I like that moment. I thought that worked pretty well, honestly.
No, absolutely. I can speak to that. It's like that was a pretty good moment in terms of how Samus's character was progressing after things like Super Metroid, Other M, and Fusion, one after the other. It's like that she was able to, like, obviously keep to her quiet, stoic nature, but at the same time, when an opportunity presents itself for her to open up just a little bit, when in that moment. That was a neat little like plot moment in terms of like that was a nice moment in terms of the overall series.
And also, yeah, she's also speaking to like the first Chozo she's probably seen in God knows how long. So I think it would make sense also for her to actually speak again for the first time in I don't know how long.
Fusion? Other M. No. It was Federation Force because she does get a couple lines in Federation Force. So,
yeah,
that's true.
What do you guys think about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say she does have like a regular amount of dialogue in Fusion, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I keep forgetting that. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Zach?
Just that level of dialogue.
What do you think about getting a Metroid game that really is just quite simply Samus getting to be a bounty hunter, and you can do different missions, just collecting different bounties? How
Never
do you
actually.
think that could
They
ever
actually
actually work?
considered it. Retro actually talked to Nintendo about this for Prime 3, that there was originally going to be side quests due to a Samus where you can do different bounties throughout the game, but they actually told them no.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of a weird thing.
I mean, to be fair, we never see Mario doing any plumbing in his games.
Well, no, a scarce amount of times here and there, and even literally the original Mario Brothers.
Technically speaking, Dread is arguably not a bounty mission. She was actually paid to do to go to the planet Dread for a shockingly low amount of bounty, but she took it anyway.
Well, I think Prime 2 can be considered a bounty that, like, you know, if like Samus investigate what happened to the Federation troopers on Aether and report back, or so. I guess that's a pretty. I'll admit that's a pretty loose one, but you couldn't argue it.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Right. Let's keep going. This is an interesting question, I think, in terms of whether you played the game or not, or which ones you thought did it better. Between Zero Mission and Samus Returns, which remake handled the lore or the source material better?
Zero Mission. 100%.
Yeah, the remake of Metroid 1, that's definitely Zero Mission did it a lot better because it was easier, in my opinion, it was easier for Zero Mission to be more accurate to the source compared to Samus Returns, because if you compare Metroid 1 and 2, the original versions, there was not a lot in Metroid 1 to begin with. Which was like, yeah, the Zero Mission can take what was there and amplify it with the new additions to plot and gameplay that it did.
Right. I would say that Zero Mission had the 360 aiming, and was it melee counter?
No, Samus Returns had 360 aiming.
Yeah, sorry, Samus Returns, yeah. And Dread had that as well, so that was like the next iteration of that whole mechanic.
Yeah, which honestly, I personally, you know, for me, it was implemented. The mechanics were ultimately implemented well enough for what they wanted to do. So, for me, there's really no complaint about it, at least not at this point. So,
yeah, Samus Returns. It added some extra lore, some of which was cool, like seeing the Chozo kind of discover the X-Parasite, how there was kind of a civil war within their ranks. But it also did some really stupid shit, like having Ridley show up at the very end, which completely spoils his reveal at the beginning of Super Metroid, which takes place immediately after.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tie-in to the Prime games because you can actually see some of the meta armor coming off of them during that fight.
Yeah, but you got to remember like the timing of the whole thing in relation to not only Samus Returns bringing him back, but also how contentious discussion of the Prime series fitting into the timeline was at the time, because there was a long-standing belief in the fan base that the Prime games were essentially ejected from the timeline for the longest time after Other M. But
I think that was a mistranslation thing.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna say at this point that's been debunked. Like you said, it was a mistranslation, but it's like it was not all that much of a. It was a bit of a low point for the fan base at the time, because it was after Other M, it was after Federation Force,
which was actually supposed to come out sooner.
It was going to come out sooner, and it was announced as Blast Ball first, which is a whole other discussion. But it's like, it was, okay, but to reiterate the point, it was after Other M, it was after Federation Force. Those games had issues, and it wasn't exactly what the fan base wanted or needed at the time in terms of the Metroid series. Although we did, on the flip side, we got AIM2R, but that got taken down through DMCA by Nintendo. And it wasn't until they announced the official remake that we found out that that was the main reason for why they took it down, because like Nintendo thought that they were that the fans were trying to like ape the official remake, and it's like, no. In fact, AIM2R, in my personal opinion, I'm personally convinced of this, I believe AIM2R actually helped sales of Samus Returns, because at that point, the fan base, we in the fan base were just waiting for anything to come out of the franchise, and when Samus Returns came out, we were there, and aside from Meta Ridley at the end, it's like the game is overall, well, aside from Meta Ridley and some of the retcons to Metroid 2 that it made, aside from those two things, like Samus Returns was a pretty good return, a pretty decent return of the Metroid series, honestly, especially with the new mechanics.
Yeah, it also did lay some of the groundwork for Metroid Dread, because like that whole parry mechanic made its way into Dread, and also, you know, the 360 aiming and some of Samus's
And
movement options.
the lore bits as well that you get from completion, like the images of the images of the Chozo backstory that you unlock as the game goes on. And then once you get, I believe it's a total of 10 of those images of Chozo backstory. And then when you get all 10 and you highlight the last one, it then does this unexpected thing of where that last image gets morphed and transformed into a completely different moment. And as we know now, that moment is specifically followed up on in Dread, which I believe was, it showed the character that we would know as Ravenbeak in Dread.
Yep. Yeah, it sets him up because he's part of the like the evil like Chozo tribe that kind of caused that civil war.
Yeah, because that tribe was specifically against the creation of the Metroids in order to deal with the X-Parasites. It's like he was like
am I allowed to go into Dread spoilers now?
I think at this point now we can just go right into it, just for the sake of context.
Yeah, it's not going to matter because you accidentally released all the X-Parasites anyway, and now they're all floating around in the space again.
Yeah, well, on the planet. Specifically on the planet. They I'm pretty sure the implication is that they're freed on the planet. They don't go any further.
I mean, that could be another plot point where they actually do escape the planet, and then Samus has to deal with it.
They would have to retcon. It would have to be a retcon to introduce the Metroids as having not Metroids. As introducing the X-Parasites leaving the planet during the events of Dread. But I don't think that would be a good idea. It would be an excuse to bring back the X-Parasites so that they could continue like the fusion-style gameplay of, you know, absorbing the X-Parasites for replenishing your resources. But at the same time, it's like by
actually,
the time we
the more you think,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, the way you put it that way, yeah, you're right. That's probably not a good idea. Besides, we already had that in towards the second half of Dread anyway, when the X-Parts gets released and you see them all flying around, mutating stuff, and how you absorb them, just like Infusion. You already had that anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
What did you think about the?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say what.
Yeah. No. Sorry, I was gonna say something. Sorry to cut you off, but I was gonna say, welcome to the Smudtalk, Ron Harusian.
Apologies, I was cooking supper for my family.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Go ahead and join my screen share for the background footage for the stream.
I got it.
I'm playing Prime 3 for this.
All right.
But yeah, it's like we were just talking about like how we would think like the story of the Metroid series could be taken after Dread. And to make a long story short, I had brought up some ideas that involve the rumored Metroid Ravenous that's been making the rounds for the past couple months. It's like to deal with not only deal with like the loose thread of Metroid Fusion and Dread, where Samus was being hunted by a part of the Federation, but also trying to, you know, reconcile with the whole Metroid part of her that Dread was going into. And I'll just leave it off by saying like that could be a good direction to take the series in if they really want to do something, you know, interesting in terms of actually properly moving the story forward. So that's just my take on that.
How do you feel about the reveal in Dread that Ravenbeak was the one who donated his DNA into making Samus what she is?
That is such an out of left field, unnecessary retcon, in my personal opinion, because it doesn't really contradict anything, but at the same time, what's even the point? If you end up killing him anyway. Spoilers, but still. It's just like, what was ultimately the point if it was mostly just relevant for that one game, first of all. So, and the implications of that in terms of the backstory is just like, why? It's like, you can work it into like the whole thing of like, Ravenbeak betraying the rest of the Chozo and taking matters into his own hands from that point on, thus leading to Samus being infused with the Chozo DNA as per the backstory. But at the same time, it's like, I just see it as unnecessary, as superfluous, I would dare say.
Yeah, I agree. It was a bit of an ass pull. I guess they did it because they were thinking, yeah, this Ravenbeak guy is really badass. I mean, he beat Samus in a fight. It must be because like she's related to him genetically.
And then it turned out to be that, and it's just like, what was even the point? It's like this is kind of redundant at this point, because we didn't really need an explanation for that. We just were fine with accepting that she was just injected with Chozo DNA as part of the genetic modification, and they could have honestly left it at that, and no one would bat an eye.
So my input on that.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly in Dread, they also separated the two Chozos into different families or clans. Yeah. One that
we were just
controlled
talking about that. Yeah.
Okay, so I would assume they did that, so it would be an explanation for why Samus was more towards physical strength and everything, rather than, I assume, the other tribe was not as combative as the warrior. Because to add to that, it's we knew full well that there was very definitively a scientific bent to the Chozo. Mainly with the whole thing of them creating the Metroids in the first place, as well as a lot of their advanced technology across several games in the series. So that angle was already covered, and the fact that they wanted to add to that with the distinction between the scientific end and the military end is that alone isn't an issue. The problem is how they interjected the things that they did to the backstory with when that moment came up in Dread. It was just a bit too much. It was too much to the sake of trying to tie things together that didn't need to be tied together for the sake of expanding the lore, and it was just, they could have gone if they wanted to have Ravenbeak added there, they could have done it in a more simple way, and simple as in you don't have to interconnect things the way they did. It's just it was just too much.
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to make him a whole new arch nemesis in Ridley's absence, but I mean, he only lasted one game, so that didn't really pan out. Yeah,
he got killed at the end of the game when he was taken over by the X-Parasites anyway. Which, good job, the motherfucker. Yeah, that would you have good job, Ravenbeak. You proved that shitheads like you are the very reason why the Metroids existed in the first place.
I'm reading a couple stats on Metroid lore. Planets destroyed 4, space stations destroyed 3.
I know Zebes was destroyed at the end of Super. SR-38 was not destroyed. Talon 4 was not destroyed. Aether, for Prime 2, do we count Dark Aether as its own thing, or do we just count it as part of Aether, which would mean that it wasn't destroyed?
I wouldn't count it.
It's just an energy source.
So just Aether in general was not destroyed. None of the planets in Prime 3, aside from the last one, were destroyed, which was Plant Phase, at the end of the game. Oh no, SR-38 was destroyed at the end of Fusion, I think.
My favorite stat on this is Ridley's killed 8.
And the planet, I don't remember the name of the planet. I don't remember the name of the planet in Dread, but I'm pretty sure that was destroyed as part of the shit that happened with Ravenbeak at the end.
Yeah, it was destroyed.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Ridley's definitely a glutton for punishment.
So that, hey, to be fair, Dread is the one game where Ridley didn't come back, so I can give them credit for that.
Kraid came back though.
They brought Kraid back instead, which was a breath of fresh air, if I'm being brutally honest.
And there's 3 different ways to kill them with it through sequence breaking.
Yeah, you can kill him the normal way, just like you did in Metroid 1 and in Super. And then there's the Shine Spark way, and I think there was another way, which was with a
if you get the dash ability, you can
speed booster.
If you do it really early, then you can kill him faster with it. But it's not an insta kill method. You can just skip the sequence.
Yeah.
I think the Shine Spark is an insta-kill if you manage to.
The Shine Spark is an insta-kill. Actually, you can insta-kill most bosses with the Shine Spark, which is crazy.
I think
you know, when
wasn't the screw attack another one of the sequence breaks, or am I misremembering?
No, not to my knowledge, but you can like defeat one particular boss really quickly with a Shine Spark if you have enough health to deal with.
Yeah, I know. Kraid is the Shine Spark for one insta kill, and the bombs, the Morph Ball bombs, are another quick kill. I don't know if the Morph Ball bombs are an insta kill, but they kill him pretty quick.
I don't think it's an insta kill.
Yeah, not an insta kill, but he dies pretty quick to the Morph Ball bombs if you're able to get into that specific hole in his stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you need the bombs to get to that slot, I think.
Okay, I was a bit confused about something. I thought the Kraid and Dread was a different one, but apparently no, it's the same one as from the first and third Metroid games.
Yeah, it's a clone based on Super Metroid. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But also, I'm pretty sure they also gave him didn't that Kraid also have cybernetics, like at least on his head and stuff?
No, those were just
shackles.
I think they were just shackles. Yeah.
Yeah, he had big chains.
Okay, yeah.
They had him planned in Prime to be there, and he was going to have cybernetic pieces.
Yeah,
but they didn't make it work.
Metacraid, which I think Metacraid might have been the boss in the Phazon Mines before they came up with the Omega Pirate.
It was.
I'm not sure. It was it because I know
it was.
I know the one development screenshot that got leaked that has Metacraid, the model Metacraid, in the Omega Pirate room.
So he was in the original game, Super and
Zero Mission,
Dread.
if you want to count that. I mean, if you want to count Zero Mission as a separate one, which I don't, I just count that as Metroid 1.
Huh.
Which also, to add to the discussion on the cut content thing, Crocomire from Super Metroid was going to be in Metroid 1. In Zero Mission, sorry. To the point where the data for him, like the animations, the sprites and everything, are still in the ROM. And people have managed to hack that battle into the game as well. So
I'm kind of glad he was left out. I like him being exclusive to Super Metroid.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's where he fits best, especially considering the frickin', in my opinion, essentially Terminator 2 reference that they do with Crocomire.
Yeah, where he lunges at you when he out of the lava and his flesh melts off.
In that case it's acid, because you can go back to there with the gravity suit and it doesn't affect you.
Oh, I thought it was lava he fell in.
Yeah, because he falls into, you push him back into the acid, he falls into it, and then he just starts like melting away like the T800 at the end of T2. So
alrighty, we got two more questions left, and see if you guys can answer these with accuracy. What is your ultimate unpopular opinion about the entire franchise? Mine would be Prime 2 is probably the best of the three.
Yeah, I would definitely rank that as a pretty hot take. I would say my hot take is that I personally consider AM2R the canon version of Metroid 2.
Ooh.
For as good as Samus Returns is, and it is a really good game despite the issues with it, like the Ridley thing and some of the retcons, I still consider AM2R the one that edges out more in between the two in terms of Metroid 2 Remake. And in terms of to go back to the question earlier about which of the two official remakes is more faithful, to add to that one, I would say, if we add AM2R to that, I would say between Samus Returns and AM2R is ultimately the more faithful between the two, because it adds all of the same plot beats as the original Metroid 2 on the Game Boy, plus it adds extra details that help flesh things out that are also at the same time very lore friendly, that bits of information that do their best to not contradict anything in the series, to the point where it also incorporates some Metroid Prime aspects in terms of how you discover that lore and how it connects to certain details from games released after the original Metroid 2.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate it for that. But yeah, the ultimate answer to my question is that for me, aim towards the canon version of Metroid 2, in my mind, in my personal opinion. So there's that for me.
Guess I'll go next.
Yeah.
I covered this already, but the Metroid Prime games are not really my thing. I just, after playing Super Metroid and a few of the other 2D games, they feel really sluggish and unintuitive to me. Samus feels really slow and kind of awkward. I don't like how the locking onto enemies thing kind of just zooms the camera in and makes it so you have like almost no peripheral vision. I don't like having to scan everything. I don't like them. I especially hate that big ass fetch quest you have at the end of the first game. That was the point that made me just stop playing the game entirely. I was like, yeah, no, I'm good.
And that one unmarked power bomb wall.
In defense of the artifact hunt in 1, the Sky Temple Key hunt in 2, and the Energy Cell hunt in 3, which are all basically the same thing across the 3 games. In defense of the end of game fetch quest, across all 3 games, it is designed. The fetch quest is designed in a way where you can at least get a few of them over the course of the playthrough. Not too many, so as to like make the post game hunt like redundant from a plot perspective. But at the same time, it's like I can appreciate like having that. Me personally, it's like we're at like. We're at odds on this one in particular, but I'm personally okay with the end of game, discovery of the final collectibles needed to progress to the end of the game. It has its problems, absolutely. We can agree on that. But at the same time, they at least make their best attempt to tie it into the lore of the respective games. Prime 3, not so much, because it's literally just power cells that you just have to find if you want to go through the entire GFS Valhalla, which they did mention at the beginning of this game, so I don't mind mentioning.
Yeah, but at least in 3, you don't need every single power cell to beat the game. You only just need enough to, like half of them to get to the
There are a total of 9 of them. You only need 5. If you know the specific path that leads to the launch codes for the Leviathan on the Pirate Homeworld, then yeah, you don't need all of them. But at the same time, again, I don't mind it because, with the in Prime 1 and 2, they at least make the attempt to tie it back into the lore that the game intends for the player to discover over the course of the mission. Again, I agree that it has it, while at the same time knowing full well that the fetch quests at the end of these games have their respective issues, especially Prime 2, which is the one that's the most difficult to like get a few of them earlier on, partially because of the design, being more on the leaning more towards the difficult end because of like I said earlier, the interference from Kensuke Taname during development, which definitely hurt the game in that regard. So at that point, it can't be helped, but it's just shame that was let through in terms of the game design.
Yeah, I might have been willing to go through with it if I actually enjoyed just the regular gameplay way more than I did. But I honestly, I just wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't my thing.
If you don't like scanning, I mean, you're really not going to like those games at all. That's most of the time you're just scanning the entire environment.
Yeah, but it's not like required to get all of the scans. There's plenty. We can agree that there's plenty of times that's like there's a couple or a few too many times where there's just a bit too much scanning for progression. But at the same time, it's like in terms of the lore information, it's not.
Yeah, no, you don't need the lore. That's right. Yeah, in the first game they introduced it, and I thought that was the spirit of Metroid is to explore. And if you can have a 360 view of everything, you want a scanning mechanic and to identify things and detect things, which is what you would do in a 2D game by pushing against the walls or hitting everything with your weapon. So I like that idea, just looking and just observing. And in 2, you have the light scanner and you have the dark scanner. And they have that whole ether and the dark Samus and all these other elements that I thought were just extensions of what were already there. So yeah, it is a bit harder. Yeah. It's a bit longer, I would say. But it's just some of the most intense gameplay. Like the boss battles are fantastic in 2. And the level design goes with that as well. So
albeit that the fights in to add to that, the fights in 2 are at least if nothing else, they are very uniquely designed to a good extent.
Yeah, they're set.
But at the same time, it's like, again, the initial release of the game, the producer interference definitely hurt those boss battles a little bit. It wasn't until the PAL version and later the trilogy version where the design of the overall game was tweaked in such a way where it was much closer to how the design the developers originally intended for the balancing to be, which helped in the enjoyment of those fights. Like you said, like Prime 2 definitely has some unique boss fights, especially in terms of the fact that they were following in the footsteps of Fusion in terms of the boss fights incorporating abilities that were yours that were taken away.
Yeah. That usually happens in most Metroid games. You have a full kit and then you lose it at the beginning to go find them
Most
again.
games.
Yeah.
Some games do a lot better than others.
You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, like Metroid 1 is the first game in the series that you can forgive it there. It's not there. In Metroid 2, I believe Metroid 2, Super Metroid, Prime 1, Other M,
Yeah.
and Prime 4, I believe. And those are the games where it's pretty much next to no logical reason as to why it would happen. As opposed
Okay,
to something like
Prime 4 is different because Prime 4 takes place after Prime 3, and at the end of Prime 3, Samus just goes back to wearing her regular suit.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I gotta do this thing. I think that Fusion. Okay, the games that actually do it with a legitimate reason. Fusion makes sense because of the whole X-Parasite infiltration of the suit, which like severely cripples the power suit at that point. Prime 1, as stupid as it is, it still has like the friggin' energy surge like right after, I think like right before an elevator that leads to the end of the escape sequence at the beginning. Prime 2, the Ing ambush Samus after she goes into the Dark World for the first time and they take her powers that way. Prime 3 is actually one of the games that doesn't do it, weirdly enough. You start with the charge shot with the morph ball bombs, and in the spring ball. Which, as a side note, I was gonna say the spring ball. For those who don't know, the spring ball is not in Prime 1 and 2 in the original versions. It wasn't until Prime 3 that they introduced it into the Prime formula, and it was actually backported into Prime 1 and 2 as part of the collection. And I gotta say, the morph ball, no, the spring ball, which is the jump for the morph ball, is so useful in Prime 1 and 2 that you can tell that those games were not designed for it. That they were not designed for the convenience of the spring ball.
This actually brings me into my next question, if you want to keep going. If
Yeah.
you could permanently delete one recurring upgrade from ever appearing, what would it be?
I don't have an answer because like it's like
Missiles.
out of all of the out of all of the recurring power-ups that are like in almost every single game, it's like no, I wouldn't get rid
Well,
of any
in
of
the
them.
example of
That's
the
just whole
spring ball,
kit.
like imagine you already had it in the first game, like you would just be bouncing around.
Well, yeah, Zero Mission.
Right. So like you should just get rid of it entirely, just to have it in your kit to start.
Yeah, in that case, it's like that's just the spring ball is one of those upgrades that was just put into the series mostly as a quality of life upgrade. I'm pretty sure it debuted in Metroid 2 specifically, and then Super Metroid is the one that established its presence from that point on. So yeah, it's like in terms of like which one would I take away, I don't have an answer because that's just like the ones that recur in almost every game. Like that's just Samus's full kit, like the missile, the super missile, the regular and power bombs, the space jump and the screw attack, the vari suit, gravity suit.
The wave beam you probably don't need. I mean,
no.
You kind of wave beam for certain puzzles.
Yeah, especially in Prime where they but which brings me to another point, the fact that they changed some of the beam weapons because of the transition to 3D. So it's like wave beam, they changed it from going through walls to being electric based, and the plasma beam they changed it from like laser plasma to being heat based, which I honestly didn't mind that change.
Well, how about after you get the gravity suit, you don't really need the grapple beam to do anything.
Well, not
Well, no, the
not
space jump.
Not underwater, no. But no, it's like those are two separate things, though. It's like that's the both of those still serve their purpose in the games that they share.
So you don't think they're redundant?
No, they are not, because they serve their own unique purposes, especially in the Prime series, where it's like because they have the grapple beam. The grapple has the specific use, especially here in Prime 3, where it is a physical grapple, unlike in the rest of the series. Although
I can actually. Sorry.
Well, actually, no. No. Actually, no. My mistake. In Samus Returns and in Dread, they make it an actual grapple based on what Prime 3 did. I forgot about that. So, like, they also like took the initiative and started like incorporating those things on top of everything else. So, which in general is something I credit Prime, the Prime series for. That they took certain abilities that, yet, taking them as they were, only specifically worked for the 2D formula. Like I said, the aforementioned wave beam, plasma beam, and the grapple, especially in Prime 3 with the grapple in particular, where it's like they changed the concept changed, but the overall functionality stayed true to the series. So, again, which one I would take away? None of them.
So strong.
Yeah, which of the regular power-ups I would take away? None of them, because that's just Samus's kit at this point. That's just the standard lineup of abilities and power-ups that she has had pretty much since the beginning.
I wouldn't take any of them away, but one thing I would streamline is I don't see the point of having the speed boost and the shine spark be two different upgrades.
No, they're not.
They're not.
They're the same one.
They've always been the same one.
I could have sworn in Metroid Dread like they were two different upgrades.
No, they weren't.
No.
They're just the same power. Because it's really the speed boost that's the actual power itself, and the shine spark is the what you do after with it.
Yeah, the shine spark is like you could consider it like an advanced movement tech, because it would originally started as an advanced movement tech that was supposed to be discovered naturally by the player in Super Metroid. But from Fusion onwards, they just made it part of the, they just made it like a standard complementary ability that comes with the speed booster.
I could have sworn they changed that in Dread to where the shine spark was a different upgrade altogether, but maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Okay,
you're misremembering
it. Yeah, thankfully they've always been the same part of the same like upgrade, you know.
Okay.
Although now, if I would like to actually flip the question, like instead of taking one away, I would like to ask the question of, in terms of the one-off upgrades, like from the Prime series or certain other 2D games, like which of the standalone upgrades from some of the other games would you want to come back? Like any upgrades
I did
that
like
were
that shift ability they had in Dread, the one where you basically can just instant transmission around limitedly.
The dash.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah,
that should you know what that should stay because that changes the dynamics of a lot of fights.
In 2D, at this point in 2D, the Aeon abilities should stay as part of the natural kit, because that was.
But as for which specific Aeon abilities, that's the interesting point. That's the interesting question.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think Dread has 2, maybe 3 in common with Samus Returns. I think it's at least the scan.
Okay.
The area scan.
The scan works differently in Dread than in Samus Returns, but does effectively the same thing.
Yeah, but it's still the same general power-up. I know it's the scan and the rapid fire that's in Dread as well, or am I misremembering?
No, the rapid fire is not in Dread.
Okay.
It is.
I think it does have rapid fire. I don't remember the rapid fire being in Dread. Because I think there were 3 Aeon abilities in Dread. That's the scan. But that scan is you just rapidly pulse multiple times instead of having to do it one at a time. The second ability is the dash, and the third ability is the invisibility.
Okay.
And then in Samus Returns, it's you got the original scan pulse, then the lightning shield, and then the last one is the rapid fire.
Yeah. I want to propose another one. Literally the one and that is want to propose a specific one to come back as part of the regular kit, and it has been coming back since Fusion, which is the ice missiles. Especially now since Samus is part Metroid, and having the ice beam is not all that viable for her anymore because of being.
No, because at the end of Fusion, she has the ice beam.
Yeah, but because of what Ravenbeak did, she lost it again.
Well,
No, I don't think that
that's
applies.
right.
No, I don't think so. Actually, yeah, I don't think that applies anymore.
Well, I mean, no, that's why she got the ice missiles again in Dread.
Well, I was going to say
I mean, you could argue for the same thing in Prime 3 because the ice missiles are here. You don't get a regular ice.
Well, no, that's because she gets them. That's because Samus gets them specifically from Rundus, as I just showed at the end of the boss fight. So
Okay, but then why not make it the ice beam then?
well, in terms of making things more distinct, it's like, and also the fact that I'm pretty sure because of Fusion, Retro was inspired to add the ice effect via the ice missiles, so that the beams can be freed up to do a separate thing.
well, I was going to
Honestly,
say
one-off stuff.
I don't mind that change. Is all I'm saying. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Smud.
I was going to say because of the visors in not to say you need the visors in a 3D game per se, but it could fit in a 2D game as well. That because it has the Echo visor and
the Dark Visor.
And the Dark Visor, yeah, like it gives different exploration options, and it can work with combat as well. And they should have had more of those like the sound puzzles. I thought would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah, but they're mostly just for optional pickups, unfortunately.
Right, and if they incorporated different ways of looking at the environment for puzzles, I thought that'd be more interesting to have even in 2D. So how that would work, I don't know, but I mean, it's just to have the same. It's like I don't like the idea she loses technology and she just forgets about it. It's like you had it in your kit, it was there last year, and you stop using it. You know,
and then sorry, finish your point.
Like the light beam and dark beam energy, like that's a thing you could use to stun enemies or combine them. So it's like, did you run out? Did you lose the technology?
I can make an argument why she wouldn't have those.
The part of it, though, I think we're probably going to make the same argument, but I think that part of it is the fact that is explicitly technology borrowed from the Luminoff for the sake of the specific mission of restoring Aether by getting the light sources back from Dark Aether and restoring them to the actual planet. So it does make sense to an extent, like why Samus would give up that specific technology, because the Luminoff are entirely separate from the Chozo, and for her to take that with her would be, at the very least, disrespectful, because that's not hers. It's like, Chozo technology makes sense because she was officially inducted as part into the Chozo species, the Chozo way of life. So there's a certain
you could say it's her
a certain
birthright.
permission there. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it'd be like her birthright. She was trained and received the ability to use these, so of course she'd be allowed to carry on with Chozo tech.
Yeah, but then there's exceptions like the Luminoff tech, where it's she's only using it specifically for that mission involving Aether and Dark Aether. So that from that logic, it does ultimately track why she would give that up at the end. Because it's not hers, so it's she has no right to use it outside of that one directive. So it's easy to just leave it at that.
Considering it's ammo based, you would also have the thing of where can you get the ammunition for said weapons.
Exactly, that's another issue with it. I don't know why I did that. There you go. Yeah, it's I think that might be. I think that might be the only example of external tech that she's using for the sake of the mission. I think every other game it's explicitly Chozo tech.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time actually thinking of an answer to this question, honestly.
Yeah, and there is the one moment here in this game where you get the screw attack on this planet, on Brio, in a specific area, but that's ultimately part of the specific set piece where you have the two statues, one of the Chozo and another of the Reptilicus, actually depicting a point in Chozo history where the two species actually commingled and shared their knowledge and technology. So that's just part of that set piece to get the screw attack later on in this game. But ultimately, that's still Chozo tech, so that's still understandable. So in terms, so yeah, it's like anyone else like either a power up from the standard kit they want to take away, or one of the one-off ones they want to come back.
So the Storm Missile was also another one that I kind of enjoyed, which came from the Seeker missiles.
It's a follow-up of the Seeker missiles from the Prime series. Yeah. Which in terms of the Prime, they're just in 2 and 3. They were an invention of Prime 2, and then they just came back in 3 because that's just what they had.
I do think of something. You know how Samus managed to supercharge her arm cannon to take out the Emmy robots from Dread?
Oh yeah, like
that one. Yeah, but that's specific to Dread though.
The Omega Beam or Omega Cannon, something like that.
Yeah, the Omega Cannon.
I think it would be cool to maybe implement a super high risk, ultra powerful attack into her kit that's super execution heavy to actually do well.
That's
kind of similar to that.
That sounds a lot like the hyper mode, but with more steps.
Or just the hyper beam from the end of Super Metroid.
Yeah, that she uses to kill Mother Brain. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Didn't she use something like that to kill the X that took over Ravenbeak?
That one is called
she gets the giant laser.
That's also the hyper beam, but an entirely different origin.
Which one could tie?
All the hyper beams are technically different when you think about it.
Well, that hyper beam is specifically from Ravenbeak because of spoilers, because of the Metroid part of her just absorbing his power.
Yeah, I'm just spitballing with that. I'm just saying maybe if that was implemented well, it could add a bit of depth to the main gameplay.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's very hard to answer the question because the games are designed so well for exploration with getting a new power-up. And it's kind of like, where did they miss the mark by 1%, you know? It's like, how off is this power-up? It's not really needed. And the only thing I can think of is the ranged weapon in the first game, where you don't technically need it.
The range beam? The long beam was it called.
Long beam, yeah. You don't technically need it, I don't think. But
you don't necessarily if you know what you're doing, but it is ultimately beneficial because that's what lets you shoot across the whole screen.
Yeah.
So, if nothing else.
All right. Well, those are all my general questions. If you guys want to keep going, it's up to you.
Anyway, my thoughts. It's really hard to say for reoccurring pirates I don't want to come back because every game has their own reoccurring thing here and there, and you usually incorporate it very, very well into the gameplay. Anyway, like you said, spring ball, or certain beams. But as for things I want to come back, and you all remember in Super Metroid where you can do crazy stuff with the beam mixing and the beam combos, the crystal flash, and all that.
Oh yeah, those secret the secret move there, yeah.
I like to see them come back, but actually tutorialized and then incorporated into the main gameplay. It'll be a good use for you to power bombs, because a lot of beam combos and abilities do use.
Yeah, what was it? I think the requirement was 30 missiles, 10 super missiles, 10 power bombs. I think. I don't. I never remember what the exact.
And you must either have no reserve tanks or reserve tanks are turned off, and then you have to be below a certain amount of health to activate Crystal Flash.
Yeah, I think I think you have to be 3 energy tanks or below, something like that.
Yeah, I like to see Crystal Flash come back, and the beam combos.
It's 50 energy or less, and empty reserve tanks with a minimum of 10 missiles, 10 supers, and 11 power bombs.
11 for some. Oh yeah, because you use one to activate it in the first place. Which is a weird thing for that. It's 11 power bombs. Why 11 power bombs? Because part of the Crystal Flash.
Well, to activate it.
Yeah,
you could use it 9.
Yeah, Yeah. Yeah, and then just have it be 10 just from the one for activation. Yeah, that was honestly a weird choice with that. On top
It's
of
also-
on top of the weirdness of just adding the crystal flash in general.
Like, you have the reserve tanks, so again, the crystal flash is never tutorialized. It's only someone like Intent Power that tells you how to do it.
Yeah, there is.
But like, if
nothing-
you're good enough at the game, then you wouldn't need it.
Yeah, you really don't.
I mean, the beam combos are cool too, but like, well, honestly, all of them are superfluous. There's also the scatter bombs, which only had one reappearing. If you hold a charge beam and you enter your morph ball, you just drop a bunch of bombs everywhere.
Yeah, didn't that come back in Dread?
No, it came
I
back
think it
in
did.
Other M, but there's no real reason to use it because there's not a single enemy that requires you to drop bombs to take them out, which would be the cool use of it.
So is that like a secret hack from the game, or is that like?
Oh no, this is base game. You just kind of stumble upon it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what, the crystal flash? Yeah. It's like it is like an explicit, like it is like a legitimate like secret that the developers intended players to find.
I
But
wonder
again,
if you could
like,
do
like,
a
but
third-person
again,
crime game.
I mean, well, actually, that brings up an interesting point in terms of Prime 1's development, where the fact that Prime 1 was, in fact, originally meant to be third person until Miyamoto stepped in and suggested the idea of first person.
Was there a boss or enemy from any of these games that ever creeped you out or disturbed you?
There are a couple.
It wasn't a boss, but the entirety of the phase-on mines, I always hated going down there, and every time I was down there, it just like felt like I was in the most hostile place, and I always hated it.
Are you talking about Prime 1 or Prime 3? I don't know which
Prime
one
1.
you're talking.
Oh, then again,
Yeah.
Agon Wastes also kind of did that too.
Aegon, yeah.
Dude.
Me personally, when I first saw Crocomire and how he died, I'm just like, oh, that's just gross.
Yeah, see, for me, it's a different boss from Super Metroid. You know that boss Dragon? That big-ass, gross, like, crustacean fetus-looking thing?
The one that also has multiple ways of killing it.
Yeah, where you turn into a morph ball, you let him grab you, and then you electrocute him.
No, not as the morph ball. You have to expose the power conduits on the sides of the arena, and then when
Yeah.
he grabs you, you have to grapple beam to them.
Yeah.
But that requires health too, though, because that takes you will lose health when you do that. But it's an insta kill.
Yeah, but again, if you know what you're doing and have enough health to tank it, it shouldn't be a problem.
Which you probably would by that point.
Yeah, especially if you're 100%ing the game. And there's also there's a very strict timing to do a shine spark in that room. If you let one of Dragon's webs catch you at a certain point in the animation for them, then you'll have just enough of the running animation going to be able to charge up a speed boost so that you can shine spark diagonally right into Dragon.
Yeah, he was a creepy son of a bitch.
So there's a hack with Metroid Fusion and Super. They kind of brought a new version of that one that makes him look even worse, creepy wise.
Wait,
So which
Talking
one's
about
that?
Dragon?
Yep.
Oh,
Fuck yeah, I want to see it.
I think
The
all
fusion-
the
what?
fusion monsters were pretty creepy.
I mean, lest
Yeah,
we
like
forget
Nightmare?
Yeah, Nightmare's the
Nightmare,
big
that-
one. Yeah.
that is the one that everyone remembers from Fusion because of like you have to break off the mask of it. Like first of all, that's the boss that has the gravity manipulation, which gives you the gravity suit in Fusion. You have to break the mask off in front of it, and then when the face is exposed, it's just weird green, gross monster face inside of the machine. And then you have to keep shooting missiles into the machine, into the face, and as you shoot, it's like it starts degrading and melting and deteriorating, and it just gets more and more gross. Thankfully, it didn't do that in the Other M version of the fight, even though the method of killing him is still basically the same. But Nightmare's the big example of Fusion in terms of creeping you the hell out.
Yeah, apparently Dragon was going to look even more like ugly and grotesque and fucking nightmarish. They had to actually tone down his look for Super Metroid. I really,
yeah, which thank God that didn't happen, because otherwise it's like, that'd be nightmare fuel for years.
I'd love to see what it looks like though. It'd be fucking awesome.
I posted the hack version. If anyone wanted to see that one.
Yeah, I just saw it. It's really good.
Oh, you got the ship missiles.
Yep. Which, yeah, that's the first
That
time.
ability's kind of useless.
Well,
yeah.
It's useful for plot, and outside of plot, it's just.
Is that a Hyrulean crest on the ship?
Okay, yeah. Just to show this off, one of the things that Prime 3 and by extension the Prime trilogy introduced is the bumper stickers for the ship. There's several games that activate stickers on it. There's the Prime 3 thing. If you have Prime 3 standalone, you get that one. Let me see. Obviously, Smash Bros. Brawl, Mario Galaxy right there. That's the first time I'm actually seeing Galaxy written on there. I think this Smash there. I think this one over here is Paper Mario.
You can't smash there. We're on stream. That goes against TOS.
Hush, fool. This one's Super Paper Mario. Twilight Princess right here. I think Under the Wing is another one. Hold on. And there's Mario Galaxy again. I could have sworn there was one for a new Super Mario Bros. Wii, but I was misremembering. But, okay.
Also, I wanted to point out, too, that there's a lot of, alien influence in this franchise, but...
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the X-Parasite is very much kind of a callback to The Thing.
Yeah.
John Carpenter?
Yeah, because, I mean...
I need to rewatch that.
Yeah, it's a shape-shifting, sort of amorphous alien creature that is also, super malicious and deadly, at least as far as, the one that impersonates Samus is concerned. I think that's definitely some influence from The Thing going on there.
Yeah, because there's definitely there is absolutely a lot of horror influence in the Metroid series without question.
I'm sorry, someone asked, what does the X-Parasite even do?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up right now.
It's a parasite that it can get into the victim's body and devour just all of the victims, and just devour the victim's body and mind to the point that it only leaves a skeleton behind sometimes. And once an X-Parasite has consumed a life form, it can perfectly mimic that life form almost down to a T.
That's wild.
Yeah, hence The Thing comparisons.
Yeah, it can.
And Metroids were just made to hunt those down, weren't they?
Yeah. The Metroids were specifically created to hunt down the X-Parasite. That was the lore reason.
Think of it like a shapeshifter that just consumes what it's taking over.
Yeah, it consumes the victim, and then based on what it consumes from the victim, it perfectly mimics the life form that it absorbs.
That's cool. There's a lot of horror stuff in Metroid, man.
That's just unsettling if you really think about it. Imagine if the X-Parasites had gone off of the BSL or the planet from Dread. Imagine if they had spread across the universe. That would be horrifying.
Yeah.
And then you have
such a scary
if someone were to manage to tame the X-Parasites, that the X-Parasites would be the perfect infiltration bioweapon. They would be the perfect bioweapon for infiltration and stealth and for covert ops, essentially.
Funnily enough,
I don't want to.
There's a series out there, because I mentioned fantasy series earlier. There's a series out there that I'm reading through right now that kind of did that a little bit. If anybody's ever read Mistborn, but
I've heard of Mistborn.
The Kandra and Mistborn are these mist-wraith thing. They basically go around, they just eat dead bodies and stuff. But if they become sentient, then they can, if they eat something, they eat a person or a dog or whatever, they can become that thing by wearing its bones. And they're the perfect infiltration thing. They're perfect for assassinations. They're perfect spies in this setting. And it's super cool.
Yeah, and the same would be true of the X-Parasites. If say, for example, the space pirates managed to like take control of them. They would just be unstoppable at that point because of how effective the X-parasites are at perfectly mimicking their victims.
And also the knowledge that you get from the person that they mimic.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that the SAX, they just infected Samus and then just copied her suit.
The XAX is a specific X parasite that manifested from the power suit. Yeah, but the reason why that's such a threat, on top of mimicking Samus at her full power, is also the fact, as Fusion later states, that the SAX replicates. And by the end of the game, there's just SAXs everywhere on the space station, which then leads to the plan of having to destroy the space station itself in order for the SAXs to not, roam the universe.
Could they just do like an army of Samus at that point?
They essentially already are. It's just that we never got anything past the SAXs just being all over the station. It never went past that, and honestly, good, because I would not like to think of an army of Samuses at full power to like going out there and conquering the galaxy. It's like that would just be that's scary.
Yeah.
Would it be a Samus or a Sami? Plural.
That's yeah.
But
no,
that
but definitely.
Hack I was talking. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. Finish the point.
That hack I was talking about, someone made that combined Super and Fusion. They did just that. They actually expanded on the SAX, and near the end game, you're being chased by several different ones. Some of them in the various suit, some of them in gravity suit.
Oh no, I don't want to think of that. No, that
it was giving me PTSD watching it.
That would scare the shit out of me. I don't want to ever play that in my entire lifetime of being a Metroid fan. Ever. Like, get that away from me.
Yeah.
Like, no, but to go back to the original point, like the Metroid wears its horror influences on its sleeve, ever since the very first game. And you can tell that they are not, ashamed of it in any way, for the most part in the series.
Yeah, it's even got super. I was gonna say it's even got supernatural horror with the Phantoon
and the Chozo ghosts.
Yeah, and those too.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the Phantoon ghost like basically the destroyed Mother Brain remnants?
I mean, Mother Brain comes back at the end of Super anyway, so that point's kind of made moot.
I mean, it's the Mother Brain from the first game.
Yeah, but then again, Mother Brain ends up being rebuilt anyway, so that kind of makes it redundant.
And then Metroid Other M, you fight Phantom as the secret final boss in that game.
Yeah.
Because you killed MB at that. Because MB dies in the main base game.
Yeah. Also, we've been going through this whole time, like, I apologize for the white flashes of light. It's just that's just how the hyper mode works.
That's all right.
It's a little too effective, even though you can run out of health by accident if you're too reckless with it.
Although again, like I said earlier, it's like when Prime 3 was re-released for the Prime trilogy. Well, all three games were given the hyper mode difficulty. Once you beat the veteran difficulty, the way they handle the difficulties in the trilogy versions is that veteran difficulty is the original difficulty from the launch versions of the games. Normal difficulty, as listed in the trilogy version, is actually an easy mode, and hyper mode is a hard mode for the games. It's like, for some reason they decided to name them in those ways. I'm just like, it's kind of confusing. But no, hyper mode for Prime 3, as far as I'm aware, definitely does balance out the effectiveness of the hyper mode, mode in the game, like this. So I can at least give them credit for rectifying the too easy complaint from the launch version.
It seems like you lose. If I only ever played the launch version of Prime 3, it does seem like you run out of energy so much faster when you're in hyper mode.
I don't remember. I tried playing. I tried playing Prime 3 on its own because that's the one I was able to get initially when I got into the series. But for some reason, my copy does not go past the frickin' Norian section for the life of me. I have no idea why.
Oh, the game crashes?
No, the game just like it shows disk read error.
Oh, that error.
But weirdly enough, I got it in like in December of 2012. I got a copy of the trilogy, and that never gave me any issues. Especially since, weirdly enough, it's a dual layer disc, and that usually tends to give people issues when playing them because of the dual layer discs being a bit more. I think they were a bit more fragile compared to the standard discs. A bit more, not as durable because of holding twice as much data as the standard DVD disc they were using. So,
yeah, I think it's just your disc. You just got it bad. You just got unlucky with that one.
Yeah, I got unlucky with my standalone copy of Prime 3.
God, I remember playing Spore Hero and being the final boss, and I couldn't finish the game after defeating the final boss because I'll get a disk read error just when I get to the end.
Yeah. I was actually
I gotta admit, all the phase-on abilities are pretty cool. The the phase-on bomb that we shoot lightning out.
No, it's not a bomb. Okay, it's the hyper beam with that.
The hyper beam.
The hyper beam, which comes with the PED suit, which is the suit that you wear for the majority of this game. The upgrades are the hyper missile.
You get the hyper missile. That's really good.
That's the second one. The third one is the hyper grapple. The first one is not it's not a morph ball bomb variant. It's the friggin' electric tendrils that come out of you.
I mean that's what you're going to use it when the morph ball though. So yeah, it's technically a bomb. Technically speaking.
Well, it's not a bomb. It's an electrical current that comes out of you.
Yeah, that is really good. That's a really good build. Yeah, I remember using it pretty frequently.
Which in terms of the phase-on weapons, I'm fine with them just staying in Prime 3 because that's part of the
phase-on thing, and you destroy Planet Phase, so you can't get any more anyway.
Yeah, and Prime 4 confirms that Phase is gone. No more phase-on.
It's gone.
So there's that.
Oh man, I remember watching. I just finished watching Matt McMuscle's What Happened with 4 Beyond. And that was one hellish development.
To be honest, I think we can leave Prime 4 as its own discussion at some point in the future because that's just a whole other rabbit hole in and of itself.
Well, it's like forcing everyone to play Other M and then let's have a talk about it. It's just like, do you really want to go through that?
No, I'm not. Other M can. No, I will never say that of Other M. Prime 4 is just the fact that it's such a unique case where we were waiting, I believe, 7 years after it was announced, and when we finally got it, it tried, but honestly, but like I said earlier, it's ultimately just such a disappointment that so many things went wrong with the design and with the story. It's just like, it is such a misstep in the series.
What would you do to fix Other M?
Get rid of the bike.
No, Other M.
No, we're talking about Other M specifically.
Get rid of the voice acting.
No,
you can't get rid of voice acting.
It could have been better, honestly. I would say improve the voice acting because the direction is what was horrible about it.
Get rid of the scripts. Get rid of cutscenes.
Rewrite. I would say honestly, rewrite the script.
Take Other M. Just put it in a bin. Close the lid. Done. Fixed.
Take out all the narrative bits that they've purposely did for the narrative. Like, this is a cutscene. Get rid of it. Just trash it.
I do wish to say, I think the gameplay in Other M was kind of good.
The auto-targeting is always an issue with all these games.
Well, Team Ninja. It's Team Ninja, and they were coming off of Ninja Gaiden. I forget which one of you guys it was that brought it up, but they were coming off of Razor's Edge at that point. Yeah, 3. It's Ninja Gaiden 3, even though we all know it's Sigma 3, but that's a whole other discussion. that they were just coming off of. I think they were coming off of Sigma 2 because Other M came after that, and then after that was Razor's Edge on Wii U. Yeah. So the gameplay was okay for what they did. It's just that it could have been a lot better, especially, again, like we pointed out earlier. As far as I'm aware, I think the Classic Controller Pro, to reiterate this point, and I'm going to double check this just to be sure, I feel like the Classic Controller Pro probably came out around the time of Other M's development, so they probably could have incorporated it into the gameplay design. No, yeah, in Japan it came out in August of 2009, so they could have absolutely designed the game with the Classic Controller Pro in mind, and they just chose not to. So August of 2009 for the Classic Controller Pro, and Other M was 2010, so they had plenty of room to work with in terms of the time that it would have taken to incorporate it, and that's just one of the many missteps of the game. We've already mentioned the story, the feelings of the gameplay, some of the retcons that they make, and the poor writing of Samus's character was just a massive step down, especially since, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's like what she does in the series is what speaks for her more than anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with all that, but I do think like a Metroid character action game is an idea with a shit ton of potential. I think it should be explored a bit more. Yes. I think most people would love to have a game where Samus is like way more melee oriented. You know,
honestly,
rather than just blowing shit up with her arm cannon and missiles and stuff.
No,
honestly,
I don't.
They might have room.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
I mean, they could possibly get a game like that going now with the rumored Metroid Ravenous, especially since the Metroid part of her is starting to come out more.
They use the mechanic in Dread to have that melee option, so it's like a finishing move.
Well, it was strictly preparing, though.
Well, no. The melee counter is entirely separate from the Metroid DNA thing because it was also in Samus Returns. Remember?
Yeah, that's where it started. But if you're going to do close up, then what would it be? Like, what would you have a bounty hunter be using that already has an arm cannon? Like, would you even need melee?
Let me think. Shit, because I don't want to give her a sword. That goes against.
No, absolutely not.
It would go hard though.
I mean, she could go up against some like super fast enemies that would like dodge her arm cannon blasts.
No. Honestly, any kind of melee weapon would definitely be too much. I agree with that.
I think the grappling.
I think the farthest you can get is you can have her charge up her arm beam, your arm cannon. Then you can do like a melee punch with it.
Well,
I mean, you kind of already did in some Metroid games because you charge up your charge beam, and then you can jump into enemies to deal damage to them.
Oh, I see what you mean. That reminds me of
the pseudo shine spark, as some people call it.
What was that? What was the guy who made Mega Man? He went to Kickstarter. He did stuff like that.
Inafune.
Yeah.
Mighty Number 9.
Mighty Number 9. Mighty Number 9 did that. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was more. That was incorporated into the dashing, but not an actual like physical melee type.
Charging that. Yeah. Well. Okay.
Yeah. The dash in Mighty Number 9 wasn't an attack. It was just a way to like incorporate not so that if you don't entirely destroy the enemy and you dash into what's left of them, you get a buff.
I still think if you're a bounty hunter, you need a grappling hook or some sort of restraint system to collect a bounty, so you don't just blow them up.
Well, the grapple beam. So
I was just thinking about that earlier. The grapple beam would be such a cool melee mechanic.
And in Other M, they do use the grapple beam a couple times for some set pieces, so I'll at least give them credit for that.
You can use it to do an insta-kill on a boss.
Which one was it? In Other M?
In Other M, if there's a giant like lizard worm in a lava room, if you set it up correctly, you can insta-kill the boss with.
You can insta-kill the Vorash.
Is that what it's called?
The Vorash, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens in that boss is that, because the Vorash eats one of the grapple points. And you can do like a ton of damage to it if you use a grapple beam on them and just swing on the ground. But the trick is that you have to swing on the grapple beam between the two platforms and trick it to eating that grapple beam, the grapple point. And if you use the grapple beam again, Samus will grapple the monster and she'll just throw it into the wall for an insta kill.
Yeah,
that's
that's another thing they could do. She could use her grapple beam in like a God of War style. She's just smashing enemies all around.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, they could technically do it in a Prime game. Just have so they can when you grapple an enemy, you can just throw it into another enemy.
Well, in the third game where it's the grapple lasso, but yeah. But
I was thinking maybe you can pull enemies into closer, so you can do the power like charge beam punch or something. But again, I think if you do a character action Metroid game, which I personally wouldn't do, but if you want to incorporate more combat, I think having a reason why Samus will stay close to an enemy rather than keep her distance, something you can consider.
I think I don't think that would be that hard. Maybe she could be going up against enemies that just move really fast, like too fast for her to aim at with her arm cannon that she might have to deal with up close.
I guess.
So, upon looking again at the Metroid suit, I was thinking about this thing, how like, and not to rip off Devil May Cry, but you could see how you could develop something to where Samus would have melee attacks in Metroid suit, since her arm cannon has like the teeth or claws on it. You could do like sort of a Devil Trigger situation where she can use the Metroid suit for like a limited amount of time, which would give her melee attacks, and then go back to regular distance attacks when you're not in the Metroid suit.
Yeah, it's just like, the finishing move stuff in Dread and like all of her crazy ass melee moves in the Smash Brothers games. Yeah, Samus can throw down physically.
Yeah.
She's more than just her missile launcher and arm cannons.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Samus has an arm cannon for a reason. She's best at just attacking enemies mid to long range.
Well, there's lots of directions you could take this game as an action adventure. It's still going to be an adventure game of some kind, whether you incorporate really Twitch gameplay or long-ranged mechanics even further. I don't know. But we all...
Should you want to come think of it? Look at Doom, the recent Doom games.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like Dark Ages?
Maybe not Dark Ages, probably like closer to probably the first 2016 game.
I still haven't played Dark Ages.
No. I've heard it's good, but
I think the new DLC fucking rocks. I love it.
Yeah,
I've heard. Yeah.
All right.
But I think now it's I think it's time we can leave it there. Just to conclude, yeah, the Metroid series is definitely, as I stated at the very start of this, like Metroid series is definitely one of the top dogs of the franchises of Nintendo. So like it's definitely a franchise worth exploring. It's definitely one worth playing. It's worth your time. The Metroidvania genre is not for everyone, but if you're the explorative type, you just want to go around getting getting items as you go along in the journey and have the storytelling not be like in your face like in other games. Like the Metroid series is definitely for you. It's definitely that kind of series that, for the most part, and not so much at this point, but still, it's definitely one of a kind in terms of how it does things.
I will say the mishaps have only occurred with the 3D games, and all the side-scrolling 2D or 2.5D have always been excellent.
For the most part, yeah.
I think I also think it says a lot for a franchise that's been around for exactly 40 years. There's only like 2 major black sheep titles you can point at.
Yeah, I like to.
I would argue 3, but that's where Other M, Federation Force, and Prime 4. But
yeah, I think if I compare it to its sister style game is Castlevania, all of the 2D Castlevania games are excellent. There's not one I would really point to that says, yeah, this is bad or this is not worth it.
Haunted Castle.
Although Castlevania 1, 2, and 3, there's some things here and there that
that's like
you just gotta get used to.
Getting its footing, yeah. That's the start. Like 3 is where it sort of comes together. The second game
Quest.
the second game is just ridiculously hard game. And the first
there's a fan remake of Simon's Quest that just came out recently.
Ooh,
really?
Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah, okay.
it's
now-
like a
and then-
2.5 kind of ish game.
Yeah. Yeah, but final thoughts at this point. Just Metroid's like, especially now, 40 years and going strong for the most part. It's like, I would recommend checking out the Metroid series for anyone who hasn't yet, and I would recommend if you just want to go right into the feeling of it, I would recommend Super Metroid as your first one.
Or Zero Mission.
Either or Prime 1 if you want to go into the 3D stuff.
You mean the Transylvania Adventure of Simon Quest? Is that the parody game?
No, not that one. There's a fan remake.
Like an actual
Quest.
fan remake. Of
Oh,
Simon.
okay, really? I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
check it out.
No, but yeah. Final thoughts. Metroid is a great franchise despite the blunders, and for a good chunk of the series is like it's top quality Nintendo stuff. So if you haven't tried for those out there who haven't tried the Metroid series, like go right ahead. Your time will be your time's going to be well spent with the Metroid series. When it's good, it's fantastic. When the blunders are there, the blunders that are there, it's like if you can power through them, it's like just for the sake of if you have the curiosity for them, go right ahead. I'm not gonna judge, but Metroid series is worth checking out.
You know what I forgot to bring up earlier? The Metroid manga.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I liked it.
it is good, but yeah.
I hope it gets like an official like Western release, like all the Legend of Zelda manga.
Maybe
I
someday.
think it is considered canon because I think a few images from it popped up in Zero Mission, right?
Well,
It is a tie-in to Zero Mission.
Yeah.
Other M takes explicit plot points from it as well.
Yeah, it goes through the history of Samus and how she came to be, or at least not why she got adopted. And,
Well, the backstory, yeah.
yeah.
No,
I
but yeah.
think you guys are way too critical of Other M. It's a game about a space bounty hunter intended for children.
Oh no! It's not. It's not. Okay, that's it. Yeah. I mean. In all seriousness,
Hold on, is Metroid M teen rated or E for 10?
I have it. I have a physical copy right here. Let me just tell you right now.
Pretty sure it's teen.
Damn it! Where's my?
Oh god.
It's rated C for
Where's the damn
cringe.
thing?
It's for children who don't know any better.
Yeah, sure. Oh, there it is. It's T rated. I think most of the series is T rated.
Gingaman, you said there were 3 Black Sheep? of the
Other
series?
Other M, Federation Force, and Prime
How
4.
about pinball?
Oh, okay.
No,
I like the way you said black.
pinball's just a neat little pinball.
Pinball's pinball.
spin-off.
There's nothing wrong with it.
That's an offensive.
I'm offended. I must protect the pinball. Okay.
No, not protect the pinball. It's just not a bad game. But yeah, anyone else got final thoughts so that we could
Game good.
Just wrap this up?
Yeah, it's a very historically significant franchise that people should at least check out.
If you like side scrollers,
I have my own
you
thought.
might have played it by now. So
Yes, and one of the significant things of the Metroid series, and
I think she's got out.
famous female protagonists
Yeah.
with Samus.
She's not the
that-
first female protagonist.
one of
but-
the first ones that became really well known and famous in the gaming sphere.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a ripoff from Ridley, the movie Ridley version.
The Alien, yeah.
Yeah, it's not even an issue. It's not even something to mention. But we bring this up because other people do. So
Yeah.
we mention it, but we don't really care. And the
Why
idea,
is it a gaming sphere, not a GameCube?
Anyway,
anyhow, thank you for listening in. This long hiatus of us enjoying the summer and getting over FIFA and getting over inflation
real life,
and all their
real life
things.
stuff. Yeah.
Real life, yeah, everything's been busy. So
Yeah, we might be doing another talk tomorrow. It's not definitive, but there's the possibility. So keep your eyes open for that.
you never know, but we'll find out. Thank you guys. Thanks guys for tuning in, and everyone on the panel for taking up your time and talking about this wonderful little hobby of ours that
Yep.
we're desperately hoping for a better iteration this time around.
Hopefully, they actually learn from the problems that happened with 4.
Please, seriously.
I think they just forget about them and say we never ever going to do those things again.
Actually, I don't think you're wrong on that one.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening. Have yourself a great evening. Talk to you soon.
TTFN,
guys.
ta-ta for now.
Happy 40th, Metroid.
Yep.
Yep, happy 40th.